American League. We'll let you know. Seth Lugo may have lost that on Saturday with his rougher start. He got squeezed, let's be honest. He got squeezed there in the first inning. He had some pitches that were strikes, and it's the second time that we've seen Seth Lugo go out there and throw strikes that are on the edges, that are on the corners, right at the knees, right at the letters, and working around the edges of the strike zone, and they are strikes, and they're called balls, and he loses it a little bit. And he gives up a number of runs. I can't remember what the team was or who the team was earlier this year when he got squeezed in the first inning, and he had a couple of pitches that were strikes right at the knees, and he was frustrated. And then after the game, he talked about how frustrating it was in the first inning, and he ended up giving it was one of his other worst outings. So he's a guy that, we talk about, man, if he's going to be effective, he needs those pitches. And if he's throwing strikes that are right on the outside part of the plate, if he's throwing strikes right at the knees, and those things are being called balls, and then he's throwing one that's a foot outside and it's being called a strike, or it's a 3-0 count to Michael Garcia and the pitch is 5 inches high and it's called a strike because, any 3-0 count has to be a strike that very much pitch.
Has to be.
And then Michael Garcia could have been better after that in not swinging at a couple of pitches, one that was ball 5. But yes.
Was it the Baltimore game that Lugo was squeezed in?
It was, yeah. The Baltimore
9
game.
hits for him.
Yep. And that first inning is when it sort of started because he had a couple of strikes that were right at the knees and strike 3, and they weren't called. So we'll see who's starting the American League, who's starting for the American League in the All-Star game. We know it's Paul Skeens for the National League, and we'll give you the update there.
By the way, do you know how pissed? Obviously, Singer got shelled by the Red Sox. You know how pissed he has to be when he looks at Brian Bellows' record? Sorry, Brian Bayo. I should know. He's my fantasy team sometimes.
He's related to Scott.
Scott Baio.
Yep. They're I think they're second cousins by marriage on his father's side. Pretty sure. It's spelled differently but pronounced the same, so that's what makes it a little confusing.
Makes it hard, yeah.
Yeah, it's totally confusing. I get it, but go ahead, please.
5.32 ERA, 10 wins. Brady Singer, 3.2 ERA, 5 wins.
Oh, it's unbelievable. It's absolutely unbelievable.
1930s baseball players are screaming, yeah, we want Brian. Not Brady, we want Brian.
Yeah, right. The managers in 1975 are like, well, Brian's a better pitcher.
He's a winner.
You know what?
He's a winner.
What's the object of the game? It's to win, right? Who's winning games on the mound? It's this fella.
Well, they went head-to-head, and what happened?
For the Red Sox. It's not that fella. For the Royals. It's the Red Sox guy. So we'll find out who's going to start the American League All-Star Game. We'll let you know when that happens. Josh Kaiser will be our guest coming up at noon. One Royal Way podcast. Get his thoughts on the weekend that was, which we will certainly talk about. The big moments, 2 big moments when it comes to acquiring a player that took place on Saturday and then yesterday. We'll talk with Josh Kaiser about that, what he thinks about Bobby Witt in the Home Run Derby tonight, and the All-Star Game, and then the Royals in the second half. What are the expectations? What are the predictions and level of trust? The trust tree, we're in this circle of trust. The level of optimism for the Royals to make the playoffs. They are 2 games out of the wild card. They were a couple of runs away from being tied for the wild card. That was not the case, and with head-to-head being the first tiebreaker for teams, that was a pretty big game yesterday that the Royals ended up losing. That was tough. That was a rough one. They fought back, could not get over the hump, down 4-0, down 4-1, I should say, and could not get back, or at least get the win. They lose 5-4. 913-912-4810. Mick Schaefer will join us in the 1 o'clock hour as well. We'll tell you who won the American Century Fantasy Golf between the 4 of us, how we all fared.
Oh, I'm stoked for this.
Are you?
I don't know. Now I'm not sure. Now I'm not sure. Now I feel like I might be the one buying dinner.
Are you though? Well, it's lunch. But
lunch,
that's
okay,
fine.
lunch, yeah.
Well, you never know. I mean, it just depends on how biblical. It could be breakfast, dinner, supper. So
I'm a supper man.
Okay, that's right. All right, let's get into the show. 913-912-4810. I think the bigger news of the weekend, there's the micro and there's the macro. The micro is Hunter Harvey and the Royals trading for him and what it means, and spending resources on a bullpen guy as opposed to an outfield bat. But the macro to me is the bigger deal in the fact that at number 6 last night, the Royals picking at number 6 because they got screwed by baseball deciding to implement a lottery system Which you and I really need to talk about this. I don't know where you stand on
because
that.
it saved the Royals money. They knew Jack was going to fall, and it saved them money going to 6 instead of 3. So basically, the lottery system actually helped Kansas City.
There you go. That's the take. I like the spin, and you know what? I'll look at any positive with this because it was a damn fine night for the Royals, and a guy that I thought would go number 1 for the most part in the offseason in college baseball from his sophomore to junior year to then this year. And then there was like 3 or 4 or 5 different guys that were in the conversation of going number 1 overall. To the Guardians, who clearly deserve it. They should be picking number 1, not 13 or whatever they would have been picking if it wasn't for the lottery system. But regardless, I think it might have been 7th, whatever. But Jack Caglione being there at number 6 wasn't really a surprise. It was a shock. Like, I was floored. Because I hadn't seen many mock drafts outside of the day of. Yesterday morning, I saw Fangraphs mock draft that has Jack Caglione going number 6 to the Royals. And I thought, oh my God, cool, it's fun, but that's not going to happen. He's not going to be there at number 6. If he goes number 5, I'm going to be pretty pissed off about this lottery. If he goes number 4, I'm going to be pretty pissed off about this lottery. If he goes number 3, I'm going to be pretty pissed off about this lottery because they would have had a top 3 pick if it wasn't for the stupid lottery. But they're picking 6th. And as the picks went on, and it got to the 4th pick, and it was the White Sox and the Royals up next at 5 and 6, and I thought, dude, Weatherholt and Caglione are still on the board. Weatherholt might have been the number 1 pick. Like, he might be the best all-around bat in the draft. And Caglione might be a guy that hits 50 home runs in baseball. He, batted .420 this year. Got on base at like 600. It was just stupid. Slugged like almost 900. Like, it was absurd.
You're not even being hyperbolic.
No,
it was only 419, 544, 875 slug for an OPS of 1419. So he was Barry Bonds. He was Barry Bonds this year.
Yeah, he had above a 1.4 OPS last year in college baseball. And he had more walks than strikeouts. And he can touch 100 off the mound. So a backup is, can you put this guy, if he fails as a hitter, can you put this guy in the back end of your bullpen?
Even better is now the position player pitchers. If we have a blowout happening and we bring in Jack Tawney throwing 100.
Jack Tawney. That was his nickname in college, Jack Tawney.
That's kind of what I would think, too, is there's a possibility of, is even if he's not like the best pitcher in the world and he's a great hitter, you don't have to burn or throw lollipops over the mound or plate for 40-mile-an-hour strikes anymore. You can throw, Caglione.
He can throw 97, 98 miles an hour. Or, you know what, if you've got him as your first baseman or whatever, and your closer starts to get hit around a little bit.
Yeah.
Let's bring him in real quick. We'll see what happens with that. I want to play the ESPN selection of Jack and then their reaction on the stage. Kylie McDaniel, Chris Burke, who else was? Carl Ravitch was up there. But I'll get the names of everybody that was up there. But this is about 4 minutes long, and this is their breakdown of Jack Caglione being there at number 6, and the Royals going against what had traditionally been my thoughts about the Royals in the draft, and that they wouldn't draft the guys that I wanted. Here's how it sounded, about 4 minutes long, then breaking down what they think of Jack Caglione as a player, and obviously joining the Royals.
With the 6th pick of the 2024 MLB Draft, the Kansas City Royals select Jack Caglione, a two-way player from the University of Florida. The St. Louis Cardinals have the next pick.
Well, they have the most exciting young player in baseball, not named Gunnar Henderson, and Bobby Witt Jr. It may not be long if it's bat and first base until we see this guy. And man, did he improve as a hitter this year, and he was great last year.
Yeah, if you're a casual fan watching this is the guy you've heard of. You're wondering why he's not going to go first. If this works, it's left-handed Aaron Judge. That's what it could be. The question, which we're going to talk about a lot here, his chase rate was close to 40%, depending on how you measure it. How quickly can he improve that? Is he going to be an outlier in power, an outlier in chase? Is he going to make the adjustment? Or is he going to be one of these guys that, like O'Neal Cruz, is the kind of guy that has unbelievable power, also chases some, it kind of moves ceiling down some. Is this going to be a perennial all-star face of the league, or is he going to be a very good guy that has some Joey Gallo seasons in him? That's the reason he's at this pick. Otherwise, he would have gone first without that question.
Yeah, I just don't see the Joey Gallo in this guy after the improvements that he did from last year to this year. And you see all the home runs and the slugging. But what impresses me is, let's start with the foundation. He's anchored down with those 19s. The leg strength also he has. He's got it developed from pitching, and he uses his legs so well in the top part of the body. Excellent. He hits balls to all parts of the ballpark. You go away, you go in, he'll bring the hands. He's made adjustments in big moments in the SEC. He continued to do it. Yes, he can pitch. Will he pitch? And the reason I have this in here, it's a big maybe. But if he does, I think it's going to slow down the development of the offense. If he doesn't pitch, the offense is just going to accelerate, and Jack Caglione could be an improvement.
Yeah, so you said a left-handed Aaron Judge. How about we just go with Bryce Harper? It's that kind of dude factor, and I'm telling you, like, this dude's going to sell jerseys. He could be one of the most famous players in the world. He's hit the highest homer. He's hit the farthest homer. He's hit the fastest homer that we've seen in college baseball. He hit 420. He had 104 hits. He had a 30-game hit streak. He had a 9-game homer streak, and he's hit 30 home runs back-to-back seasons. Nobody in the history of the Southeastern Conference has ever done it. All that said, he does swing at a lot of pitches, and the only concern is when the stuff gets better, does it turn into too much swing and miss? I don't think it does, because his contact rate is actually off the charts. And that's why I say Bryce Harper way more than I would say Joey Gallo.
Yeah, I don't think it's Joey Gallo either.
Yeah.
I think the bull case here is he cut his strikeout rate in half and didn't have to address the chase. The thing that teams have said to me is he's not going to pitch when we draft him. We're going to throw him in the deep end of the pool, high A, double A immediately, make him make the adjustment, and if he does it, he'll be in the big leagues in a year. And if he doesn't, then it'll take 2 or 3 years. It'll be like a normal path. He might be a normal guy with a lot of power. You can see from that graphic they just put up, there's a lot of chase. It's in all areas. Can he just reduce the whole thing a little bit? Is that the question? We'll see.
Yeah. Jack Caglione's never going to be a normal guy in this league. I'm telling you this right now.
Well, what he should be is a two-way player. I mean, he has the ability, and in speaking with some other former executives, you get into an organization, do you even begin to just wonder on a backfield whether it's anxiety or inability to throw? Should we just sort of try just to see, is that your best, you throw 98 from the left side?
Yeah, I mean, he doesn't look like most other people. I mean, Eddie just talked about it in the box, and the stuff doesn't look like most other people's stuff. So, is he drafted as a pitcher? No. He's drafted because of the bat. However, he can pitch. The slider's got to come along. That's the one. The changeup was close
really
to
good.
elite this year. I mean, he made a huge jump with his changeup. Threw it a lot more to right-handers than left-handers. But, man, that fastball could still run up there. This was in regionals, where he was still pushing it up down at 97. Fastball velocity dipped his last 2 starts of the year, but we've seen him as high as 99. I'm not saying he's drafted here because of the pitchability component.
Right.
But it's not a bad thing to fall back on. I mean, right now, if I'm the Royals, pretty good year to pick 6.
I like the back pocket idea. I also think it's going to be fascinating the next few years. Oakland takes Nick Kurtz. Kansas City now takes Caglione. I mean, there you go. You made a choice.
They're tied. And I think it's also really cool Kansas City has a chance to have 2 of the most exciting players.
100%.
I mean, that is a really neat thing for the middle of America.
Where's a wall
that you want to run through?
I'm going to run through.
Hearing them talk about it reinforces that. And my initial thought of, how is this guy available at number 6? And from all indications, why he was available at number 6 is because of his 40% chase rate.
Yeah.
Okay. He was chasing pitches outside the zone at 40%. And yet he was making contact. Okay, so he cut his strikeout rate in half from his sophomore to junior year without addressing the chase rate. And the question I would have is, how much was he chasing because he knew guys weren't pitching to him? How much is he chasing because he goes, they're going to walk me. I got to do something here, and if it means I'm reaching out and taking this thing to left field, that's fine, but I'm going to drive in these runs instead of just walking me. Or this one's inside, I'm going to turn my hips, and I'm going to freaking crush it, right? I mean, the guy's numbers were off the charts. His chase rates, he's chasing all these pitches outside of the zone. And he had a 30-game hitting streak. He's chasing all these pitches outside of the zone. And he hit a home run in 9 straight games. He's chasing all these pitches outside of the zone. And he got on base at 550. He's chasing all these pitches outside of the zone, and he's batting 420. And they talked about Bryce Harper, and Chris Burke was up there. Eduardo Perez was the guy that, Kylie McDaniel said he could be a left-handed Aaron Judge, which, good God. I mean, good God, man.
You know what? Sign me up. I'm in.
Be still my heart. You know what? I'll settle out of court for left-handed Aaron Judge. I'll do it. I won't hold out for Ohtani. I'll settle for left-handed Aaron Judge. Okay, that's fine.
Jim
We've
Thome?
made this deal. We've made this deal.
Jim Thome, does that count?
Yes. Eduardo Perez saying, he's and Kylie McDaniel saying left-handed Aaron Judge is what he could be at the high end. He could also fall back to being Joey Gallo, a guy that for his career batted 190, but got on base at like 330 and hit a bunch of home runs. A 3-result.
Adam Dunn.
Yeah.
Adam Dunn in his next level.
Yeah, so you're striking out, you're hitting a home run, or you're getting on base. And Eduardo Perez saying he's not Joey Gallo. Also saying at the end, he will not be a normal baseball player. There's nothing that's going to be normal about this guy as a baseball player in the major leagues. Chris Burke saying, Aaron Judge this, Joey Gallo that. He's Bryce Harper. That's who this guy is. He's Bryce Harper. And they threw the graphic up there that from 2012 to 2014 in Major League Baseball, Bryce Harper had a chase rate of 32%. And Jack Caglione in college in 2023 and 2024 has a chase rate of 39%. That's why they were comparing him to Bryce Harper, a guy who is violent in his swing, does damage, makes contact, is a superstar, and also chases a number of pitches as a younger player. And then as they get older, they start to hone in on their craft a little bit more, and they just become one of the best players in all of baseball. I don't know how he fell to number 6, except for people talking about the chase rate. And that's really it.
Well, the other small aspect of this is we know he wants to be a pitcher and hitter. We know this.
Mm-hmm.
And if he's talking with teams, and if teams think that, you know what, we only view him as a hitter, we don't view him as a pitcher, he's not going to have the opportunity here, well, then he might not sign. He might, there's going to be some issues there, right? He might want more money. He goes, okay, if you're not going to let me do what I want to do, you got to throw a little extra here.
Mm-hmm.
That could be a reason as well, because from what we've heard from the Royals, they're at least going to entertain it.
Yeah, and we'll play some clips from J.J. Piccolo and Brian Bridges, scouting director, so they will entertain it. Kylie McDaniel, the one, the first guy talking there in that clip. We're going to talk with Kylie McDaniel on Wednesday. We're going to have him on the show, and he put out today his favorite picks of the draft, favorite day 1 picks, and then best available on day 2. His number 1 favorite pick of the draft, Jack Caglione, to the Royals at number 6, and he said that he was in the final mix in every pick from number 1 through 5. Every single team from number 1 through 5 had Jack Caglione as a part of their discussion of whether or not they're going to take him. Thank God they chose elsewhere. Thank God they picked somebody else. And we'll see. Maybe it doesn't work out. Maybe the guy fails, and it's like, well, I guess that's why he slid to number 6. That's why this guy was available there, and the Royals took him and couldn't figure out what to do with him. I have much more confidence in the Royals figuring things out with this guy, with this newest regime of development, than I would have 4 years ago, 3 years ago. Now, I'm confident they're going to get these things figured out, and that power, you can't teach it. I mean, he's got 50 home run potential in Major League Baseball.
That was such a phenomenal observation there, because same thing. The previous regime would not have taken this guy. The previous regime would say, no, he's not fast enough.
They would have taken Rayner, the high school shortstop.
They would have taken the high school shortstop. This would not even been on their board. They wouldn't have entertained it. And I love Vinny. But this is a much different player than Vinny Pasquantino. This is a much different player than Nick Prado, right? I think Nick Prado is, again, I'm not trying to have a knock on those guys, but this is a guy that the Royals would not have taken in previous regimes. Just how I always would scream and yell about Yordan Alvarez. They wouldn't touch the guy because, well, he's a DH only. Yeah, but he absolutely rakes. I don't care that he's not fast and can't play defense. Give me the guy that rakes. Defensively, we don't know what he's going to be. You've heard some highs, but we know he rakes. Take a chance on the guy who rakes. Take a chance on the chase rate. Again, the outlier is obviously Salvador Perez, who is the highest chase rate in Major League Baseball, 44.5%. But somewhat to the same thing, Salvi this year is getting on base 343. On base 343 with the highest chase rate in baseball. You're telling me right now, I think a point you brought up was also very important. If you know you're getting pitched around, but you know you can still have some damage happening, you make the damage happen.
Yeah.
Because that's the issue with, I think, a lot of the Vinnies and sometimes Nick Prados. They're waiting. Or guys get too aggressive. They swing out of the zone, and what can they do with it? Well, they might get a booty knock at best. But guys like Salvi can get something behind it. And guys like Jack, he gets something behind it. And that's what it comes down to, is if you can do damage with a pitch like Vladimir Guerrero Sr., who cares if it's in the zone or not?
I mean, he hit a home run that bounced, right?
It was a single. It's
an urban legend.
It's becoming an urban legend.
In 10 years from now, it's a grand slam that bounced.
Fun fact, my favorite player of all time is Vladimir Guerrero Sr., so even I have to pump the brakes.
No, it was a grand slam
on that.
It was a grand slam.
But everything that Jack brings to the table is everything the previous regime would not have dug, and it's why I was so thrilled that not only he fell to 6, let's be real now, but the Royals didn't overthink it.
Mm-hmm.
They took the guy with the best bat in all of college baseball.
He has a walk total of 58, and he struck out 26 times this year. He struck out 26 times this year in his 60 games. He struck out fewer times than he had a consecutive game hitting streak. He had a 30-game hitting streak, and he struck out 26 total times. And the issue is a chase rate. He chases too many pitches. Okay, well then that tells me if he's chasing too many pitches and he struck out 26 times, his bat to ball is elite. His bat to ball is elite. He also walked 58 times. I think 31 of those might have been intentional. So 27 real walks to 26 strikeouts. Okay, even if you take away the intentional walks.
It's at the college level, too. Like, intentional walks are different at that level because base runners are much higher stress for these pitchers. They're not major leaguers with guys on, basically.
And his chase rate went from 44% to 39% from sophomore to junior. Okay, well, that's heading in the right direction, right? It's not like he got crazy or got worse in his chase percentage. It's not like Gavin Cross, whose bat speed has slowed down for whatever reason than what he was when the Royals drafted him or something like that. It's not. He's heading in the right direction with the chase rate. And all of this is not even counting what he can do on the mound. He was projected as a top 50 pitcher if he didn't hit. If he never picked up a bat, he would have been drafted in the top 50 in this draft.
Which is intriguing because the numbers in college pitching were not good. They weren't great. Yeah.
The strikeout numbers stood out, but right.
Yeah, you look at the ERA and you're just like, okay, what do they see here? Well, they see a lefty who throws 98.
Mm-hmm. That's why he wouldn't have been a first-round draft pick. It was this guy can touch 100. He's got a slider, a changeup, and he pitches from the left side. We can hone some of these other pitches. This guy's 6'5", 250. He's going to be a bulldog. We'll take him in the top 50, and if we put him in the back of our bullpen, hey, that's fine. We got a closer.
Well, and that's almost what's intriguing with him more so than Shohei, who's a starter as well.
Yeah.
Jack, to me, would project more as a back-end bullpen piece. And I could be completely wrong here, but when you have a 70-grade fastball, 50-grade slider, 50-grade cutter, a 55-grade change, but the controls of 40-grade, that to me screams 98 lefty. Okay, you come in, Araldis, and it'll be the old NL where you're going to have to figure your first base for the first 8 innings, the 9th inning. We're gonna have to make some changes.
All right, so let's take a timeout. We'll come back. We'll hear from JJ Piccolo, and we'll hear from Jack Caglione in his press conference last night after being drafted by the Royals, number 6 overall. And then I want to talk about, what's the bigger picture and where he ends up. What does he look like? Where does he ultimately end up with the Royals if things go according to plan? We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. More Zone next. right, we continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. 913-912-4810. Text says he had an intentional walk with the bases empty. Nobody on base. Like, just walk and put them on base.
That's ridiculous.
The bases are empty. Like, it's two things. Bases empty and bases loaded. Right? Bases loaded is like, okay, that's absurd. You'd rather give up 1 than 4. But bases empty, we don't even want to give up 1. We'll just pitch to the rest of them. Just put this guy on base. Like, who cares? Like, we're not going to risk, we're not going to risk putting him in scoring position. He's going to hit a double or a home run. Like, yeah, that's pretty absurd.
That's Paul Bunyan
yes.
stuff, yeah.
Tex says he hits 420 in KC. He's your new green light spokesperson. Sorry, Dylan.
That's not a hard job to replace.
Yeah,
no.
About that, buddy.
Yep.
913-912-4810. Tex says, did the Royals draft this guy to be a pitcher or a hitter or both? Well, let's hear from Jack Caglione. This is clip number 1. And he was asked about, what the plan is for him for the Royals, and when they drafted him. So here's Jack Caglione talking about what he believes the plan will be when he eventually signs and gets assigned to whatever minor league system. Clip number 1.
The plan is kind of build off of what I did the past couple years in college, and really just developing more on the pitching side of things as well as the offensive side of things. It's going to be a process, and it's something that I'm very excited that I have the opportunity to do. So, I'm very thankful that they're giving me the opportunity to do both. And, I won't let them down.
What is it about pitching and hitting that you like? Is there certain things that you like on both sides of it?
For me personally, it's knowing kind of what pitchers think when they're facing, somebody like me in the box. So it gives me just more of the advantage as a hitter and as a pitcher, for the mental side of things, and kind of going through the game that way has kind of been the biggest help for me. So that's probably the biggest thing that I, take away from both.
So the plan is for him to continue like he did in Florida. That will be hitting and pitching, being a two-way player. I'll say, while the bonus is the arm on the mound, and like some of the scouts said, that if he never picked up a bat in his life, he would be a top 50 pick in this draft if he was just a pitcher because of the stuff and the potential stuff that he has. He wouldn't be a top 10 pick because he's not going to be a frontline starter like Chase Burns or some of those players that we've seen over the last number of years. In 2 years, if he's still pitching, I think there's an issue. That's what I would say. I don't think he has a future as a pitcher in Major League Baseball. And I hope the Royals' plan is we are going to sign you, and the plan is that you are going to do both. You are going to hit, and you're going to pitch. That is the plan. Sign on the dotted line here for your massive, ridiculously stupid $8 million bonus. Great. Let's head to high A or double A, and let's get out there hitting and pitching. Hey, listen, Jack, it's not working on the pitching side. We're going to have to we want to dial that back because, you can be in the big leagues in 2025 if the hitting develops at a little bit of a quicker rate than what we think it's developing at right now. The pitching, to me, is such a fallback plan. The pitching is almost immaterial to what I believe Jack Caglione will bring to the Royals.
Yeah.
He is a masher. He's a guy who can hit 50 home runs, and he can touch 100 off the mound. There are a lot of players in Major League Baseball who are position players who could go in there and it's like, well, that guy touched 96, 97, 98 miles an hour on the mound. Awesome. That's cool. But he's a position player.
Tell me O'Neal Cruz couldn't go out there and throw 98.
Ellie De La Cruz, those guys throw 100 miles an hour across the diamond. I think he's the Royals' right fielder. That's where I think he ends up.
Wow.
Because I don't think you put 98 off the mound at first base. He's athletic enough that he can play a corner outfield spot, and he's got a gun. I think Vinny's your first baseman. And if Jack Caglione makes his debut next year at some point, I think you've got a corner outfielder that can hopefully mash 30, 40, maybe 50 home runs in a season. Athletic enough to play an outfield spot, and a guy who's got a gun that will throw out runners in right field. People talk about how athletic he is. He's an above-average first baseman. Awesome. That's cool. If he's athletic enough to play the outfield, like they moved Nick Prado to the outfield. They moved MJ Melendez to the outfield. Those guys don't have the arm that Jack Caglione has. And he's 6'5", 250. So my prediction is that Jack Caglione in a couple of years will be playing right field for the Royals. If things go well on the hitting side, and Vinny will be your first baseman, or they'll find somebody else and he's a DH, whatever it might be. But I think his talents would be wasted as just, well, he's an above-average first baseman defensively. He's not going to kill you defensively over at first base. So you're not using a guy who can throw 100 miles an hour?
Well, you're looking almost like a Hunter Renfroe at that point defensively.
Yeah, right.
Which
exactly
is,
right.
Again, I'm with you as far as the bat's already advanced, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if I were him to an extent too, I would just almost focus on that because that's your quickest chance of getting to the big leagues. Who knows? Corner outfielders struggle this year. Maybe Vinny keeps struggling. We'll see a Brandon Finnegan situation, right? We'll see him get called up for a stretch run. Only being slightly facetious right there.
You know, Mondesi made his debut in the World Series. Maybe the same thing for Caglione.
Just throwing that out there.
Uh-huh.
Because I do think if he wants to focus on being a pitcher, that's so far behind, he's not going to have a chance to work on that if his bat's called up next year. Well, he's not pitching in the majors next year. That's still a couple years away.
He's got a long way. If he was just drafted as a pitcher, I don't think 25 is on the table at all.
And that's my point.
Probably
so
26 at the earliest, maybe 27.
And maybe he surprises us, and all of a sudden he's like, you know what, I'm honing this in. We've seen a lot of pitchers in this new regime all of a sudden start to figure some things out. Some of the younger guys, we've seen some dudes turn a corner. Although I know it's the Royals, so will want another lefty pitcher? Right? We've already seen too many lefties.
Yeah, you don't want a lefty in the bullpen. No way.
No chance. No, you can't have that. You can't. That's absurd.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's where I'm at. If I were him, and again, I'm not him, obviously, for a multitude of reasons. I would focus on the bat because that's your quickest chance of getting to the majors, quickest chance of making an impact, quickest chance of having, again, long-term success, of signing a contract. And again, by the way, for all the studs that we've seen with a similar style from Louisville,
Brendan
McKay, injuries happen when you're doing both.
He's already had one Tommy John surgery.
Jack has had one Tommy John. Injuries happen way more as a pitcher. Just arm injuries in today's day and age. That's the name of the game. So if you're trying to stay healthy and make a long-term impact and come up quicker, the bat's almost already major league ready. That's where I think he focuses on. But again, I get it. It's hard. You see Shohei. You see the outlier. But the last time there was a Shohei was about 100 years ago in Babe Ruth.
Yeah, and he only did it for a couple of years.
So
Caglione at the plate, his freshman and sophomore year had a K rate of 18%. His junior year, his K rate was 8.1%. So he dropped it by 10%. 18% down to 8%. His walk rate, his freshman and sophomore year, was barely over 5. His walk rate this last year was 17%. He more than halved his strikeout rate, while more than tripling his walk rate from his freshman and sophomore year combined to his junior year. That's the improvement he made from one year to the next at the plate, while mashing 30-plus home runs, while having a 9-game home run streak, while having a 30-game hitting streak, while hitting 520. Yes, with a bat that's, got a little more pop than a wood bat, but it's a BB core. So it ain't the old trampolines that they used to hit with. I want to hear, before we take a break, from, let's play clip number 4. This is J.J. Piccolo and Brian Bridges, the scouting director for the Royals, Brian Bridges. They both weigh in on Jack Caglione as a player.
He's extremely talented, and I'll let Brian talk about his abilities on the field because he's certainly seen him a lot more in person than I have. It's unique to have somebody that can do both and has done it at a really high level in the SEC. Doing it in major leagues is another thing, and that's something we're going to continue to talk about and figure out, how this can work. But We love his bat. We'll say that. I mean, we love his bat. We love his power. We love his athleticism. And that is, first and foremost, where we are. But we're well aware of what he could do on the mound as well.
Jack really started coming into his own this year on the mound. Last year he was more of a thrower. This year he spent some time in Arkansas at a facility where he really learned how his body moved, and he really started to enjoy pitching. As far as at the plate, it's more of a natural thing to him. He's really on the attack mode, and he looks to do damage on every ball he can get his A swing off. So, he's a very talented kid, like JJ said, plus defender at first base. We've even, talked to him when we went and met with him. I mean, he wants to pitch and do both. That's the one thing. So, you try to, go through it and let him experience it, but you also want, him to make sure he's not missing reps at anything doing both. So it's going to be a task that, we'll have to walk through it with him.
Those are two guys that are saying, yeah, we're going to let him pitch until we tell him he's not pitching anymore.
Yeah.
That's what I heard there. We love his bat. That's first and foremost where we are. That was J.J. Picollo. Like, he's got some talent. We know about the talent on the mound, and we'll see where that takes us. Brian Bridges. At the plate, it's more natural for him. He wants to pitch and do both. You work with him to let him do that, but eventually you got to figure out if you're missing reps elsewhere. They drafted him as a two-way player to get the draft pick and get the sign, to get the name on the dotted line. They're telling you there, the man is a position player.
I think Sterling's right, and the first 5 teams were dumb, and they didn't do what the Royals did, which is lie.
Yeah, right.
Like, yeah, we'll let him play.
No, you're a hitter. Like Kurtz was taken by the Rockies, or not the Rockies, but
White Sox, right?
Yeah.
No, White Sox. It was
right before the White Sox.
Was the A's?
Yes, the A's. Kurtz, and yes, because people are like,
it was the A's.
Yeah, Kurtz, hopefully he's looking for apartments in Sacramento or get used to Sacramento, whatever. Even though he's not going to be up that quick, but regardless. Or maybe it's how long are they going to be in Sacramento? A couple years? So maybe he will be. But Kurtz is a guy that's not a pitcher. Like, he's a hitter. There you go. We're drafting this guy as a hitter. And if Jack Caglione says, no, I want to do both, and like, well, we think that's going to take away your development as a hitter, well, I'm going to do both. And I'm going to sign with a team that will let me do both. And the Royals are like, hell yeah, you can do both. Dude, we love the fact that, you can pitch 98. Yes, absolutely. We're going to work on both. We're going to get both. Sign on the dotted line. That's awesome, man. Let's get you to high A, double A. Let's get you working here. Jack, I don't know that it's working. I feel like we're missing out reps at the plate. The time you're spending on the mound is taking away the time you can be spending in the box, in the cage, tee work, first base, right field, whatever, these reps that we can get from you, we feel like it's being lost on the mound. So
I'm just thinking of Rick Ankiel right now.
I think, Rick Ankiel was a backup as a hitter. The guy can do both. And then he lost it as a pitcher, and then, hey, he was a position player for a number of years and had a decent career as a guy who was a position player. Caglione, to me, would be the exact opposite.
Yeah.
If the hitting doesn't work out, well, then you fall back and put him in the back of the bullpen. That's a bridge you cross when you get to it, and the hitting isn't working out. But in the meantime, that's your general manager and your scouting director saying, he's a hitter. He's a bat. He's more natural at the plate. We love his bat. That's first and foremost where we are. Brian Bridges. Well, he wants to pitch and do both. He wants to pitch and do both. That was what he said, right? He wants to pitch and do both.
It's almost on the line of the player wants to, or referring to whoever it is as the player wants to blank. Or,
the player is the one that wants. He
like
wants to do both.
Thing, yeah.
Yes, he wants to do both. So we're going to allow him to do both at first, and then we're not. We'll take a timeout, come back, wrap up this hour next. Jack. Jack Johnson. Coming up in the next hour, he is down in Texas. He's taking in the All-Star Game festivities. We'll get his thoughts on the Royals, Hunter Harvey, Jack Caglione, David Shields, their second-round pick. The third round gets underway, I think, at 1 o'clock today. The Royals have the second pick in the third round, so we'll be paying attention to that when it gets rolling. But we'll talk with Jack Johnson on the other side of the break, get his thoughts on Hunter Harvey, Jack Caglione, Home Run Derby tonight, etc. And then Josh Kaiser will come up at noon. We've got a lot more to talk about from this weekend. We haven't even got into the trade of Hunter Harvey for the Royals. It's a pretty big deal this weekend. With Josh Kaiser, One Royal Way podcast. Tonight at 7 o'clock, the Home Run Derby down in Arlington, down in Texas. And hanging out down in Texas as well is our man Jack Johnson, joining us as he is there at the All-Star Game festivities. Jack, what's up, brother?
Hey, not much. Just hanging out before I have to get over to Globe Life Field here in, hour and a half or so for some media availability. But glad to hop on the show, even if I'm hundreds of miles away.
No, we appreciate it, man, and cannot wait for tonight to see Bobby Witt in the Home Run Derby, and then eventually we'll find out who's going to start for the American League, unless you have heard anything, any whispers down there as to who's going to be named the starter at these press conferences?
Sadly not. Maybe I could be the guy that breaks it when I get to the field here pretty soon.
Please do that. We know Paul Skeens on one side for the National League. That came out on Friday. and then we'll see who ends up starting for the American League coming up just a little bit from now, an hour, 2 hours, whatever it might be. Jack, bigger story this weekend to you. Was it Hunter Harvey in the trade for the Royals in the bullpen, or Jack Caglione being the number 6 pick in the draft of the Royals that I thought for a number of times this year he was going to be the number 1 overall pick or number 2. Certainly not going to get there at number 6. My biggest beef of the lottery was the fact that the Royals would not get Jack Caglione, and they end up getting him. So what's the bigger story for you between those two additions to the Royals organization?
I think it has to be Jack Caglione falling in the draft and falling right in the laps of Kansas City at 6, because, I mean, we had been under the impression that the Royals liked 2 guys, really, and it was Hagen Smith and it was Bryce Rayner. And in past eras, in past years, so many times did a talent fall to Kansas City, wherever they may have been drafted, but they stuck with the guys they had been scouting. They stuck with the guys they had really liked, and you'd hear that in the press conference afterwards. They'd be, we had tabs on this guy for months and months, but we feel like he's a perfect fit. We like the individual, we like the talent, and so on and so forth. But I thought it was different last night, where Brian Bridges had the chance to speak to the media, and he basically said, look, the talent was too good to pass up there. And I think a lot of people would agree with that. I mean, Jack Caglione was mocked top 3 in numerous drafts. And I had turned on ESPN for the draft a little bit early last night. I can't remember who said it, but it was one of the analysts on the board, and he said, I think Jack Caglione's the best player in this draft. I'm not saying he's going to go number 1.
Eduardo Perez that was that loves Caglione.
Yeah, and it was just this feel of, there could be concern of the swing and miss, but come on now. I mean, the guy's hit 75 home runs in 3 years at Florida. I think the power has the highest ceiling in the draft. I think he's, power-wise, maybe the highest ceiling guy the Royals have ever had. I mean, you were talking 40, 45 home run potential. I love the bat speed. I love the exit velocity off the bat. And then, by the way, he can throw 100 off the mound. And the Royals are going to try to let him do that with being a two-way player. So, Hunter Harvey was a big-time acquisition, I believe, and I'm sure we'll talk about that. But, it was only a big-time move for about 24 hours, because Jack Caglione falling to Kansas City at that spot was something I really didn't think would be possible.
It's interesting, all of the dissecting of the chase rate and all of it in the analytic age of trying to figure out how good a player is and what the pitfalls might be. And, okay, if this guy does not develop, what are the reasons this guy does not develop? Okay, look at his chase rate, and when the stuff gets better and he's swinging at everything, well, then it's going to be an issue. O'Neal Cruz was brought up last night on the broadcast, that a guy with immense power and talent but can't stop swinging at stuff out of the zone and just wants to swing at every pitch. And he's got to figure that out. He's got to hone that in. But sort of the issue you run into, or at least the counter to that, the pushback you would have with that is, if the chase rate is such an issue, his strikeout rate went from 18% his freshman and sophomore year down to 8% last year. So if you're telling me his chase rate is that high and he's not striking out, I'm telling you he has elite bat-to-ball skills. And he has got power and pop because, he's swinging at everything but still having a 30-game hit streak, still having a 9-game home run streak, and a guy who, ends up, walking, 60 times or whatever, and struck out, 26 times last year.
Yeah, I think overall with the numbers, they're incredibly impressive, right? I mean, he was top 5 in numerous categories among Division I hitters. And I do think that with, college bats, you have to take them with a grain of salt, because using aluminum bats, a lot of guys can hit over 350, sometimes over 400. But I think there were 2 guys in this draft that you looked at them swing the bat from a power standpoint. You went, I think that's going to translate pretty easily to the big league level. And that's Charlie Condon, who went to Colorado, who could be another 40, 50 home run guy now playing at Coors. And then it was Jack Caglione. J.J. Weatherholt, I think, had incredible bat skills, and I wouldn't have been disappointed in the slightest if the Royals had taken him at 6. But the fact they had their pick of the litter with Caglione and J.J. Weatherholt in that spot at 6, it's good fortune. It's shining on the Royals right now, where they're in a wild card race, and then they get a prospect like this fall to them. I think it's incredibly special, and I think he is one of those guys that yes, the Royals can take their time with. I don't think he turns 22 until February, if I'm not mistaken. So they don't need to look at him and say, oh, he needs to be on the opening day roster next year. I don't think you have to do something like that. But I could see him being one of those fast-track guys where kind of with Bobby Witt Jr., I mean, he's going to debut when he's still in his early 20s. And you could have a lineup where you've got a thunder of Bobby Witt Jr. and then Jack Caglione right behind him. I hate to put that type of pressure, immediately on the kid when he's not even played a minor league game for this organization. But, I mean, I ask you guys, how many times did the Royals take somebody in the first round? You go, yeah, I mean, I get it. He was a top 15 guy on the board, but I really wanted this guy. Remember when they took Frank Mozzicato, Kumar Rocker fell because he wanted more money there, and maybe it was right taking Frank Mozzicato there. Last year, Kyle Teal was there. They go with Blake Mitchell. So I was just sitting there at 6 going, yeah, it's going to be Bryce Rayner. We all know it's going to be Bryce Rayner. And then when it was Jack Caglione popping up on the board and Rob Manfred said his name, I was in awe because that's something we really haven't seen the Royals do, and I can't wait to see how their hitting department handles it.
I loved all of the tweets last night to me that were tagging Old Takes Exposed, because I tweeted out when the White Sox took Hagen Smith, and I said, when Nick Kurtz was taken by the A's, that's when it was. Nick Kurtz was taken by the A's, and the White Sox were up, and I said, the Royals are going to have their choice of one of Weatherholt or Caglione. One of those guys will be on the board. And then I said, and they'll take neither. And all of the people that were like, wrong, I'm like, thank God I was wrong. Maybe I just pessimistic it into existence of saying that they're not going to take him because of exactly what you're talking about, Jack.
It's the emotional hedge.
Exactly right, the emotional hedge. That's right. I was setting myself up to not be hurt, even though I was going to be hurt when Hagen Smith went to the White Sox, and I was like, JJ, Jack Caglione, don't you crush my heart. Don't crush my heart, JJ, or Brian Bridges, whichever. Jack Johnson is hanging out with us. I know we got you for a few more minutes. How long do you think he pitches before the Royals ultimately go, well, Jack, we gave it a shot. We told you would do both, and we let you try to do both, but you're now a hitter. So, or do you think ultimately he is a two-way player in the big leagues?
I think they can try it as long as it doesn't start to affect his offensive game, where you're having to put focus in both camps of we got to develop you as a pitcher, we got to develop you as a hitter. And I do think, just my gut feeling, this isn't going to be a popular take, but my gut feeling is eventually the Royals are going to go, all right, we need you to be Yordan Alvarez and not hoping and praying you become Shohei Ohtani, because I don't see him becoming Shohei Ohtani. In fact, I don't see anybody ever becoming Shohei Ohtani. So the Royals could continue to try this until I think something would happen at the plate where, the numbers start to dip. He's trying to put too much focus and kind of 50% both ways, where you could put 100% of your focus on polishing yourself as a hitter, and that's what I think the Royals in the end really need. Because even in college, I mean, you hear that about the 99-mile-an-hour fastball, you hear about the good changeup. Those are all good and well, but we all recognize Jack Caglione as a hitter in college. We recognize the power, the 75 home runs in 3 years, the over 400 batting average, the near 60 walks in 66 games. All of those things we think of with Jack Caglione. I think it just shows the type of freakishly talented guy that he is, that he can throw 97 to 99 from the left side. But as long as his offensive skills don't diminish while he's still pitching in the minor leagues, because I think you can immediately go and maybe put him in low A to close out the year, or you could shut him down the rest of the year. But next year, I think he starts in Quad Cities or even gets to Double A Northwest Arkansas. I mean, who knows? Maybe he gets an invite to spring training. But, if you see those offensive numbers start to diminish a little bit, that's when I think the Royals would say, all right, let's put our focus there. Let's not really worry about the pitching anymore, because we need you to be our 3-hole hitter, our 4-hole hitter for the next handful of years, and we want you up in the big sooner rather than later.
My concern when you try to develop a two-way player is it's going to be incredibly rare to find somebody that both are going to develop at the same time, that both are developed into the point to where they should be at the same starting point in the minors. Meaning, I think if Jack Caglione was a hitter only, he's high A or double A to start. Like, I think there's a chance the Royals could be like, let's put him in double A and see about his chase rate, and let's see what he's got. And if we have to drop him down to high A, then that's fine. They'll probably, if he was just a hitter, start him at high A. And heck, he might even be at double A by the end of the season if he's doing some of the things that we think he can do, with the walk rate being crazy, with the strikeout rate being low. Chase rate certainly needs to be improved, but even with the chase rate what it is, I mean, the guy had a longer hitting streak than he did strikeouts overall in the season. His arm is clearly not there. So the concern would be, well, we can't move him up to double A because his arm is still low A. And his bat is double A, arm low A. We've got to have these things advance together. Well, I don't want them to keep him from advancing at the plate because his arm is behind, which we know it is behind. And if he starts out at low A and then next year starts out at low A, to me that's wasting time with his bat because they're trying to figure out how to get his arm up to speed. And I don't think his arm will ever be to the point to where his bat is. So his arm, if they want him to be a two-way player when he gets to the big leagues, is going to keep him back for a while or keep him from advancing at the level that I think he can if he was just a hitter.
Yeah, and again, I think that we might have fallen in love too much with, the high-powered fastball. And I think it takes a lot more to be a polished pitcher, to be just as good as you are at the plate as you are on the mound. And to me, that is the way it would have to happen for the Royals, is he would have to be just as good on the mound as he is at the plate. And I don't envision that happening as much as we'd all want it to. Yeah, there could be a scenario maybe in the future where, Jack Caglianone's called up at the blowout game, or maybe not. Maybe it's a one-run game, and he had experience pitching at the minor league level, and he goes out there and he's throwing 98, 99 from the left side. But we also understand in the pros, you throw 98 to 99, okay, well, what else? I mean, a lot of guys can throw 98 to 99. You got to have a good secondary pitch, a third pitch, a fourth pitch. The reason Shohei Ohtani's so good, I mean, you got 5, 6 pitches to worry about when he's on the mound. I know this year he's taken a year off because of Tommy John, but he was unhittable because there were so many other pitches he could change up the speeds, whereas I think with Caglianone in college, he was able to overpower guys because how many left-handed guys could throw 98, 99, 100 with that size, with that length? I think he was able to dominate some of those teams, but even at times he wasn't able to. So I think the Royals are going to be able to find out pretty quickly if he can progress as a two-way player. Again, that's the absolute ceiling. That would be the best-case scenario. But I fully envision him being a hitter once he gets up to Kansas City and the Royals putting all their focus in that department.
Yeah, and people talking about Ohtani forget that Ohtani has missed time at the plate because of injuries with his arm. That's what you have to take into account as well, and Caglianone already has one Tommy John. Hearing J.J. Piccolo and Brian Bridges last night tells me that it's no, Jack, you're going to do both. We're going to have you hit and pitch and two-way player. Go ahead and sign your name on the dotted line here. Great. We're going to get you started as a hitter and pitcher, wink, wink, and then we're going to go from there. J.J. Piccolo, we love his bat. That's first and foremost where we are. At the plate, it's more natural. Brian Bridges, he wants to pitch and do both. So we're going to start doing that like the Royals are telling you without telling you. We drafted a bat. We announced as a two-way player because the guy is going to we need him to sign. And we told him he's going to be a two-way player. And he probably told any team, I'm not going to sign unless you allow me to pitch as well, which I get it. He should definitely do that if that's what he wants to start off doing. Real quick before we let you go, Hunter Harvey, what do you make of the deal for Hunter Harvey? You mentioned somebody that can get up to 98, 99 on the mound. Well, that guy's got some stuff. So the Royals trade Caden Wallace in the number 39 pick for a bullpen reliever, and they DFA Nick Anderson.
Yeah, this was a move that I think we all kind of knew would be coming, and what J.J. Piccolo had said he'd been looking for. He wanted, power in the back end of the bullpen, swing and miss stuff, and Hunter Harvey's done that this year. And despite a rough 7 to 8 outings in a row, mainly because I think he's been overused a little bit in Washington because they just have that back end with Kyle Finnegan and Harvey, I think the numbers are going to get better here in Kansas City. And I think J.J. Piccolo said that the scouting department, the analytics department, feel like he can have a really big second half for the Royals, and he might step in to the closer's role if James McArthur struggles, but James McArthur's kind of on a hot streak, so I think he'll slide into that setup role. And as for giving up Caden Wallace, look, the Royals have a bottom 5 farm system. For anybody out there that thought they could trade away Daniel Lynch and Drew Waters for a good bullpen arm, you would be incorrect in that. This is what other teams will have against the Royals. They can leverage the Royals with, hey, you got a bottom 5 system. Caden Wallace isn't even a top 100 pick or a top 100 prospect, but he's your number 2. And that's what it's going to take to get Hunter Harvey, who, by the way, has an extra year of control. So, yeah, it stung to give up the 39th pick there along with Caden Wallace, but that's the reality. I mean, when you don't have a top system, you can't just throw your 15th prospect at somebody and expect a good bullpen arm in return. If they make another trade, I mean, Royals fans need to brace themselves. It could be somebody in the top 10. It could be somebody that you really like. But if you want that bullpen to get better, to solidify itself, you can't just throw in guys that you want to trade, because those other teams aren't going to want Nick Prado or Drew Waters or, Andrew Hoffman, guys down there. I mean, the Royals can develop those guys, but they were looking for younger guys that they can develop themselves. And Caden Wallace, I did like as a prospect. I wasn't sold that he was the third baseman for the future. He's only played in, I think, 34 games this year. He's battled injuries. I think the bat could get there, but again, it could. That's the thing with prospects. You don't really know, and with the Royals in a spot like this, they need bullpen help now and next year, and I believe they got a good one in Hunter Harvey.
Jack Johnson down there in Texas. What does Bobby Witt do tonight? Does he win? Does he make it to the second round, semifinals, finals? What do you think of Bobby Witt's prospects as in the home run derby?
I think he's going to have a really good chance. I know that for a lot of baseball fans, you'll just look at the home run total, and probably for tonight, you'll think, Gunnar Henderson's going to have the best chance, and I think that's who I put my money on. But I think Bobby Witt Jr. could be that guy that seriously makes a run. That'll sound biased. I know it sounds biased, but he's participated in a home run derby before in a big league park, and that was when he was 17 or 18 years old, and Nationals Park, I believe it was. So he's done this before. He knows how to do it, and I think that we'll be in for a show tonight. I really hope he can get past that first round, because both Mike Moustakas and Salvador Perez did not when they were representatives in the Derby, but I think he's got a really good chance, and I think Arlington would be in for a treat if you get a finals between Bobby Witt Jr. and Gunnar Henderson.
Would you be surprised if I told you that Bobby Witt is the second betting favorite ahead of Gunnar Henderson?
What's funny is I don't think so, because all of baseball just loves those two guys so much. I mean, they're just freakish talents, and though Bobby Witt Jr. doesn't have that traditional, home run swing that maybe Aaron Judge has or Shohei Ohtani has, man, I think he could run into a lot tonight. I think he could go on one of those tears where the crowd really gets into it and they're in awe. And Salvador Perez is going to be his coach. He's done this before, and he'll tell him when to take timeouts, when to, really put all of your effort into it. So I think he's got a good chance tonight. And I think all of baseball knows that he's not sneaking up on anybody.
At DraftKings, Pete Alonso's plus 320, Bobby Witt and Marcell Ozuna plus 425, Gunnar plus 450, Adolis Garcia plus 550, Teoscar Hernandez plus 1,100, Jose Ramirez plus 1,400, and then Alec Boehm plus 1,800. Those are your home run derby odds.
For Bobby Witt Jr., what I find fascinating, of anyone in the draft or anyone in the derby, his average home run distance is the farthest. He doesn't hit the most, but when he gets into one, it's the farthest of anyone in the home run derby. So I think some of the thought process might be he can get there if he wants to. His game is not traditionally trying to hit home runs, but when he wants to, those things are launched, and they're not wall scrapers. Jose Ramirez has the most wall scrapers of anyone in the derby, right? Bobby Witt's not that. So I think some people might be thinking here going, all right, his swing is repeatable, and he doesn't try to hit home runs. If he's going to try to hit some bombs, those things are getting launched. That's the way I view this right here. I'm with you. I think he has a chance. I don't know if I'd bet on Bobby Witt Jr., but I do think this is more of a legitimate chance. And with Salvi getting screwed because of the rules, the new rule change helps Bobby Witt Jr.
That's right. We'll see what. Jack Johnson down at the All-Star game. Jack, I know you got to get to some press conferences, man. I appreciate it as always, brother. We will we'll talk on Wednesday or Friday. We'll see whenever you're back. But have some fun down there, man. I wish I was down there with you, but it should be a blast. Thank you for joining us, brother.
Yeah, anytime, guys.
All right, there's Jack Johnson. He's got some press conferences to get to. He's got some work he's doing. I didn't know if it was vacation or if he's working. I mean, Either one, sort of like it's working and vacation, like us in Tahoe last week.
That was
vacation for
you.
A
combo.
Vacation for you, work for me. That
Hey,
was the
pal,
combo.
I was working.
That was the combo.
I was working on my beer pong game with Miles Teller guy. I was working on hitting flop shots over Jerry Rice. Okay,
yeah, you're working on having a screamer go right by Jerry Rice's face,
which
which clearly put him in a bad mood.
He was enjoying the conversation with me. That's all I'm saying.
When I saw that video, Jason, when you saw that video, the first thing you thought of was the near miss? Because that's me. I was like,
he was laughing. He enjoyed it. He was having a good time with me.
People were like, "Is this you getting into an argument with the KC media member?" Like,
at first, you're right. That's what I thought.
Jerry Rice called me the GOAT. Me and Sterling, but mainly me.
No, it was us. Don't say me.
Right
it was us.
We were making eye contact.
It was us.
We were making eye contact.
It was you and me and Dupree. Okay, it was us. It was us and Charles Woodson.
Yeah,
in fairness,
you, me, and Woodson.
In fairness, I wonder who was more or less the GOAT. You, me, or Charles Woodson?
No, he said you guys pointed right to me, and then his right arm pointed to you, but his eyes were looking at me, and he was like, "You guys, well, you," and then by proxy. Yeah, just sort of by.
All I'm saying was he was in a great mood with us.
He's with the group.
Great mood with us.
Yeah,
that's all I'm saying.
Yeah, of course that was before you almost hit him in the head with a golf ball.
But we were laughing about it.
Yeah, well, he was laughing underneath his breath when he walked away. Was he laughing?
Yeah, he looked like he was laughing.
Yeah. Well, he
should have trusted me. It wasn't that close. I mean, I got underneath it. It was flopped.
When his security detail turned around as Jerry Rice walked by and was walking, the security detail turned around. The words they were saying, they weren't laughing saying them. I'm just saying that's I don't know.
Don't lie to the listeners. Don't see. Jason is flubbing. I'm over here.
You were flopping.
I was flopping. He was flubbing.
There you go. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back, continue rolling. Josh Kaiser will join us at noon. We'll talk about Hunter Harvey, the trade that was made, Caden Wallace, number 39, what it does for the Royals. Bobby Witt Jr. in the Home Run Derby coming up tonight. Mick Schaefer will join us in the 1 o'clock hour. Learn Funniest Best. He's from KSHB 41. He's the sports director. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. More Zone next. Are you surprised that Gunnar Henderson has worse odds than Bobby Witt Jr. in the home run derby tonight? Because I am. You know, we've been talking about, like, I feel like Gunnar Henderson is the favorite tonight. That except for Pete, I picked Pete Alonso to win because he's got experience. Last night on Sunday Sound Off.
This is his World Series.
Last night on Sunday Sound Off, I'm like, I guess I'll go with Pete Alonso to win, but I think Bobby Witt could be in the finals against Pete Alonso. But I'm going with the experience, and that's why Pete Alonso is the favorite. But after that, I would have guessed it was Gunnar Henderson because of so much of the talk around Gunnar Henderson. But Gunnar being the fourth betting favorite is a surprise to me. Marcell Ozuna has had an awesome season. He's got around the same number of home runs as Gunnar. But Bobby Witt being the second betting favorite tied with Marcell Ozuna when he's got 10, 11 fewer home runs this year than Ozuna does. It's a surprise that he's that high of a betting favorite. I thought he would be like fifth or sixth, really.
Okay. Give me the odds once again, really quickly.
Okay.
I'm trying to do a little
yeah, you're good.
Statistic thing in my head.
Pete Alonso is plus 320. He's the favorite.
Righty.
Bobby Witt, Marcell Ozuna, plus 425.
Righties.
Gunnar Henderson, plus 450.
Lefty.
Adolis Garcia, plus 550.
Righty.
Teoscar Hernandez, plus 1100.
Righty. I guess they're almost all righties.
Jose Ramirez, plus 1400. But
switch, and he said he has not decided if he's going left or right yet.
But it's an easier home run in Texas to left field, right?
Well, that was my point.
Shorter? And then Alec Boehm is Boehm. I'm always going to say Boehm just because of Royce Boehm and all the Boehms. And
I call him Boehm.
Boehm, all of the Boehms. Alec Boehm, he's plus 1,800. He's the eighth betting favorite.
Yeah.
But it's a good point about the righties.
I was thinking
the righties that are more likely to hit a lot of home runs are the ones that are the betting favorites as opposed to the lefty and Gunnar Henderson. And a tougher place to hit home runs for lefties is in Texas.
Looking up Bobby Witt Jr.'s spray chart, because I feel like a lot of his power, though, is to center, which also goes to show of anyone in the Derby, he has the longest average home run at 418. So,
but his longest home run was in left center.
Yes.
Was the 470 shot.
So I think a lot of the thought process, maybe almost all is to center to left center. He's had a few to left and a few
maybe
to
not left center, but it was left of center. It wasn't like it was between left center and center when that 470 because I'm thinking it was like just left of the batter's eye.
Like the deepest part of the park.
I'm actually looking. I'm looking at 410. They have it on the spray chart right here. Yeah. It's like over the 410 just number right there. It's just bombed. He's got a few. I mean, but a lot just the majority of his home runs are to center field. He's got some pulled, some he went oppo. He's got two up to oppo.
And I think with the home run derby, he'll be pulling
exactly. And that's the thought process. Is he's not a traditional home run hitter. That's not his game. He can hit a lot of home runs, but that's not his game. He's a line drive hitter almost predominantly. But when he gets put in this situation, when he's getting thrown meatballs from a lot of guys to choose from his brother-in-law who pitched in the majors, and he talked about it. I'm going to go back to what he said about it, actually. I thought it was funny. Lefty specialist, three-quarter arm slot, always a good command guy. He's like, I know who I'm picking. He wanted his dad, I think, a little bit, but he goes, his dad's arm is, quote, pretty beat down.
Over the years.
So going with the lefty specialist, three-quarter arm slot. And now we know if you were pitching against Bobby Witt Jr. and you want to throw some money on a home run derby or for him to hit a home run in a game, go to a lefty guy, lefty starter, who has a three-quarter arm slot. Bobby apparently loves that.
I think this is a night where the potential is there for people to get a better idea of Bobby Witt, the player. And he doesn't hit a lot of home runs. But I think people are going to be taken aback at the power he generates with his home runs. I don't think people would look at Bobby Witt as having one of the longest home runs in baseball this year. I don't think they would look at him like an O'Neal Cruz or an Aaron Judge or a Pete Alonso, guys that are mashing him 460, 470. But when Bobby Witt's got that this year, I think there are going to be a couple of home runs that are just going to be mashed, that it's going to be, good God, the power this guy generates. And the swing just looks smooth. It doesn't look like he's swinging out of his shoes and trying to create this violent swing. It's just his legs and his body and his torque and how connected everything is. And by the time that stretch and that rubber band that action comes through and that bat whips through the the strike zone, the ball just jumps off it like a trampoline, and he's hitting him 450, 460. That to me is what the potential for tonight is for Bobby Witt and the All-Star Game weekend overall. Tonight and tomorrow. Gunnar Henderson starting tomorrow. We'll see how many innings Bobby Witt plays, how many at-bats Bobby Witt gets at shortstop for the American League. But I think this is an opportunity for Bobby Witt to announce himself to the average fan out there of just how good he is and how special his talents are, as opposed to a lot of people around baseball that look at it and go, Bobby Witt, Gunnar Henderson, best young shortstops, best shortstops in baseball that you would start a team with, either one of those. Average fans, I don't know. If you're not playing fantasy baseball or, you're not, die hard into whatever your team is doing and other teams, maybe you know about Bobby Witt but haven't seen him and don't know that he can generate the power that I think he'll be able to do tonight.
And to put into how well-rounded Bobby Witt Jr. is, his fielding run value this year, 99th percentile. His base running value this year, 99th percentile. His batting run value this year, 98th percentile. This is a guy who legitimately does it all.
Yeah.
Does not have a single weakness. We talk about five-tool athletes all the time, five-tool players. He's a legit five-tool player.
No doubt.
This is not a hyperbole. This is not a, but his arm's not great. Or maybe he's not the fastest dude out there. No. Bobby Witt Jr. is a legitimate five-tool athlete. And again, putting it one more time into perspective here, he has a lot of doubles in Kaufman. That would be home runs in Arlington. I guess a couple triples in Kaufman. About 5 to right center. That would be gone.
What'd you say his odds were?
His odds right now at DraftKings are the second best at plus 425. It depends on where you can get it. There are a lot of books out there that you can get.
got him at 700 last week.
He was son of a gun.
How much money did Dravetta put on him?
That's why Adam changed the odds. There it was. Adam pushed this line up to him being the second betting favorite. The value that's there for Bobby Witt at plus 700. Good for Adam. Nice job.
It's bold, though.
Yeah.
You better hope he wins.
Not really. I mean, if it dropped from 7 to 425, he's kind of on the right track.
He could probably
he
cash
bought
out
it
right
down.
now.
He bought it down.
He could probably cash out right now. If he put $10 in, they'd probably let him cash out for like $13, $14.
It's easy money right there.
It hasn't
only
even
$10? Only 10?
Well,
Dravetta, he probably put
that's good. 500.
A couple bands on it.
We'll let you $500. We'll let you cash out for 700 right now. That's quick $200 and the event didn't even take
Just
place.
making my money back from the blackjack table.
Yeah, well, you got a long way to go. Big Tiger said that he got Bobby Witt at plus 470. So, I mean, it's heading in this. Honestly, it's the first time I've looked at the numbers. I've been sleeping a lot this weekend. Trying to catch up
golf,
with
dude.
You still got out in golf?
Oh, dude, I got after it this weekend. You got to keep rolling.
Okay. 913-912-4810 is the text line. 913-912-4810, the text line to be a part of the show, part of the conversation. Looking something up because of a text that came in that said it's being reported that Corbin Burns will get the nod tomorrow to start for the American League. Shocker. I'm not shocked, by the way.
No, I know, but that's a bummer.
I think Seth Lugo should be the starter. Thank you, Texter. That alerted me to the Texter saying that it's being reported Corbin Burns will start. And so now just doing a Twitter search of Corbin Burns, you got John Heyman. You got a couple other people that are reporting that Corbin Burns is expected to get the all-star start for the American League versus Paul Skeens.
And he's been great.
He's been great.
He's been great.
He's got a name.
He's got a name. That was a big offseason signing. Was that last year or the year before from Milwaukee?
No, this was his first year.
First year in Baltimore, right? There was a big signing from Milwaukee. Milwaukee,
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's Baltimore, man. They're the hot thing right now in baseball. Baltimore is a sexy name. It's the East Coast, obviously, but, Yankees, and it's wild to see Baltimore get the run they're getting right now.
Yeah. We'll take a timeout, come back, continue rolling more zone next. We'll get his thoughts on Jack Caglione. We'll get his thoughts on Hunter Harvey. The Chiefs will report to training camp, the quarterbacks and rookies, coming up 27 hours from now. It's like, what, 3 o'clock, I believe they're reporting tomorrow. maybe 2, 3. There's press conferences, Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid. We'll talk about baby number 3 for Patrick Mahomes. What medal are they going to name baby number 3?
Platinum.
What medal?
Platinum.
Okay.
Platinum. Gotta be.
Maybe.
Platinum Mahomes sounds pretty good.
I don't know. If it's a boy, I wonder, what happens. Does that boy feel worse because he's not, named after his dad? You've already got Patrick LeVon Mahomes III named Bronze. Can it be Patrick?
What's he?
Same silver.
Not Mike Tyson. Who's the boxer that had named all of his kids?
George Foreman.
George Foreman. What's he just name every single kid George Foreman?
Just saying.
Something.
I didn't say you had to do that. I'm just saying, is there? I don't know what it's like in a family if somebody was named after the dad and the other person was not. Is that cool that you're not? Because then you're your own person. Because Bronny is connected to LeBron specifically, and so will his other kids, but not necessarily named, Bronny, but Vlad Jr., Bobby Witt Jr.,
I don't know. Kevin Biggio, I still think of Craig Biggio
Jr.
Even though it's...
Right, because Craig Biggio Jr. didn't make it. I don't know if he had a junior or not, but I know that there is no Craig Biggio Jr. playing in Major League Baseball. I know that.
Yeah, but Kevin, you still know it. The last name is still Biggio, so you know who it is.
What about Yastrzemski? Does that
does
that one stick out?
Carl
is that the
third? You think that? Actually, I forget his name. You think the outfielder for the Giants is related to Carl at all? You think?
No.
You think they're?
He's not. He's not related at all. The reports are that Corbin Burns is going to be starting for the American League tomorrow. I went and looked at some of the numbers real quick, and Corbin Burns has passed him in a number of those counting stats. Burns' ERA is 2.43. Lugo's 2.48. The WHIP, Corbin Burns 1.05. Lugo 1.09. Strikeouts per 9. Burns 8.3. Lugo 8.2. But Lugo has a 4.1 WAR. Corbin Burns has a 2.9. ERA plus, Lugo's 174. Burns is 154. Not 1 point. That's just everything over 100 is a percentage of. So he's Lugo's 74% better.
Well, that's weird, even though he has a higher ERA.
Yeah. Fielding independent pitching, Lugo has a better fielding independent pitching. 3.13 ERA. Burns is 3.36. Over the last 5 starts for both, Lugo's got a 2.7 ERA. Burns has a 3.4 ERA. Over the last 5 starts, Lugo also has 37 strikeouts to Corbin Burns' 28.
Man, Burns' strikeout numbers are really down this year.
He's
really down.
I mean, because we talk about Lugo not being a strikeout pitcher, yet they have almost identical strikeouts per 9 at 8.3 and 8.2. I mean, it's damn near identical. So he's a name, and the numbers now for Lugo and Burns, and unfortunately with Lugo on Saturday, the numbers now look pretty identical across the board, pretty damn close. But it's still awesome that we're talking about Corbin Burns and everything he's doing these numbers, and Seth Lugo's numbers are like identical.
Yeah, considering Corbin Burns, I'm going to look up the contract.
How much is he making?
Yeah, this has got to be a good.
Is he making $15 million this year?
Contract.
Is it a 2-year, $30 million with a player option in the 3rd year for 15?
Well, actually,
is it doable?
Am I wrong here? It says 1 year, $15 million for Corbin Burns.
Well, that's got to be arbitration then, right?
Yeah, but he would have been. What was he traded for then?
He was traded for Joey Ortiz and DL Hall.
Okay, there we go. So yeah, that was arbitration avoided. Was that because of the 1 year?
Yeah, so he's making
$15.6
more money in arbitration than Lugo was as a unrestricted free agent.
And then you're going to get unrestricted free agent this upcoming year in 2025, and Corbin Burns then is going to be making a lot.
Yeah, he's going to be making more than $15 million. But maybe Lugo will be the second pitcher out of the gate in the 3rd inning, because typically they go. Does Lugo and Reagans pitch tonight, or one or the other, or tomorrow night? Neither of them are going to pitch tonight. I promise you that.
Oh wow, good call.
But I wonder if it's sort of one or the other pitching tomorrow, because you only got 9 innings.
Yeah,
only going to have 9 innings. It's 9 pitchers. I think less, because if the starter typically gets 2 innings, so you got 8 pitchers there for 9 innings.
I think Seth deserves it more. But I think Cole Reagans might be the bigger name, because more electric stuff. I think maybe I'm wrong, but when you see the strikeout numbers and you just see the 97, 98 mile-an-hour fastball and all that stuff from Reagan's. I think he's the more, what was he, top 5 in Cy Young voting to start the season? I think he's more of the name. But if you're going by who's more deserving, it's Seth Lugo. Lugo has been more deserving, and a little maybe sadness here. And maybe I'm end up being wrong, but this might be the only chance Seth Lugo really has to pitch in an All-Star game. I could be wrong, and
if he does this again next year
sure,
or close to it,
then he'll be back, and you'll get the name recognition going again and all that stuff. But I think we all expect Cole Reagans to be an All-Star again. Yeah. I think we all expect that. For Lugo, no one had this expectation going in, so for him, pitching in an All-Star game might just mean, like it's the SEC, a little more.
There are 12 pitchers on the American League. So we know Corbin Burns is starting, or at least those are the reports. So you've got 11 pitchers left, and if Corbin Burns gets 2 innings, then you've got 11 pitchers for 7 innings. Now maybe you can throw 2 pitchers in 1 inning if you want to go, Mason Miller and Emmanuel Clase or something like that. Clay Holmes is not pitching tonight. All right, so I can go ahead and say that Clay Holmes will not be out on the mound tonight. Good God. Tomorrow night. Clay Holmes might pitch tonight. It might be better for whoever's hitting in the home run derby. I don't know. But Clay Holmes won't be pitching in the All-Star game. I'm pretty confident that they won't throw him out there for the American League because he has been awful of late. Now, he should have got 2 outs with already 2 outs in the game yesterday.
Oh, my gosh.
The easy ground ball that was bobbled, and then the very next hitter, Verdugo, comes in on the pitch like he's an 8-year-old.
It was the longest stumble. Him going back after he realized it was over his head, that long 20-second stumble as the ball's just hanging in the air it was hilarious.
It was 8U. He immediately runs in and then stops and has to run back. Only he slipped and fell.
And then just stumbles and face plants. And by the way, Volpe, Yankees fans, what about Volpe? I was told it was Bobby, Henderson, and Volpe.
Bobby Henderson Volpe. That's actually his
Volpe's
name.
ass, dog. Give me Willie Adames.
So Clay Holmes won't be pitching. So now you've got 10 pitchers for 7 innings.
Volpe's not ass. He's fine, but he's not in the same conversation, Yankees fans.
Right.
And Duhar?
I think they'll probably try to get guys in the game that are the lone representatives. Yeah. So like Tyler Anderson and Garrett Crochet. We'll see. Josh Kaiser next.
food, more free time, free delivery, and better value. Go to GuaranteedFoods.com.
All right, we'll continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. A couple more hours to go on this Monday edition. An hour from now, we'll talk with Mick Schaefer, KSHB 41 Sports Director. Some Learn Funniest Best in the 1 o'clock hour. We have talked a lot of baseball today, a big weekend for the Royals, unfortunately losing 2 games, but acquiring a couple of players who could be difference makers for the team this year and beyond. Joining us now, Josh Kaiser, One Royal Way podcast here in the Zone. Josh, what's up, brother? How are you?
I am doing well. Happy to be on with you guys again. Let's talk about some crazy 48 hours of Royals baseball.
Man, it's been nuts, and unfortunately it does not result in a win for the Royals, but it does result in a win for the Royals in a number of different ways. I asked Jack Johnson this question in the previous hour, so I'll ask you as well. The bigger part of the weekend, was it acquiring Hunter Harvey or drafting Jack Caglione at number 6?
Oh, that's a tough question. I would probably say the draft pick of Jack Caglione at 106. I think he has the bigger upside and definitely the ability to contribute to this team long term way more than Hunter Harvey can. But in the short term, it's definitely Hunter Harvey, especially if Caglione doesn't pan out in the end. So I'm excited about both of those. That's kind of the fun part about not being able to decide with which one I'm more excited about. So I'm going to go with Cags at this time, but a short 1A, 1B with Hunter Harvey there.
Okay, so one of my first questions was how was he there at number 6? You guys, were covering the draft live last night, and certainly, the commentary from different people that have covered the draft, et cetera, as to him being there at number 6. What can you make of and maybe put your finger on the reasons why 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 chose different, and a guy who I thought would be gone in the top 3, maybe 4, somehow was there for the Royals at number 6?
Yeah, it is even kind of more confusing when J.J. Weatherholt was not one of those guys before him. Yeah. I think, especially leading up to the draft, it seemed like a lot of mocks, a lot of rumors were talking about him, having a lot of steam there at 101. And here we go back to Cleveland taking Travis Bazzana there is what everybody always thought prior to the last 48 hours or so. So that was interesting in and of itself. But after you get past Bazzana, Weatherholt, and in my opinion, Charlie Condon were probably the top 3. And then after that, they all kind of had their warts. They all had plenty of, red flags in their game that could really kind of hamper their success. But seeing Jack Caglione fall to number 6, it definitely got me jacked up. He was 3rd in the MLB pipeline rankings. Mm-hmm. I've got him at 5th, I think, in the. I aggregated a bunch of lists just to see how all those great minds and how they thought, and they had Caglione at number 5 behind Condon, Bazzana, Weatherholt, and Burns. So, from a perspective of drafting from 106, that's right where Caglione would probably go. So at that point, it's subject to organizational belief and philosophies and what they can do. So to see him there, I was jacked up, and even to furthermore see them take him instead of passing on him for a potentially guy like Jack was talking about, potentially a guy that they really fell in love with prior to that. That's not necessarily at number 6. It was good to see them take the roll of the dice on Jack.
Yeah, I maybe it was an emotional edge. I joked about the old takes exposed, and I was perfectly fine with old takes exposed when I said the Royals are going to have their one of either Weatherholt or Caglione will be on the board when they draft at number 6, and they'll take neither. And that was my years of frustration of the Royals not going in a certain direction, but that's perfectly fine, whatever. And so yeah, I loved the people that were tagging old takes exposed. So thank you, and I loved being wrong. By the way, no problem being wrong. Maybe it was an emotional hedge. But then there was one tweet that was more like, okay, you're right, and it was. Maybe it's time to start doubting stop doubting this regime. And I said, you know what? Yeah, I'm going to go with that because they've done a number of things that I've been asking this Royals organization to do for a while, and they, draft a guy that I don't know that I think the previous regime would have taken Rayner at number 6, a toolsy guy, high school guy. long-term projectability as opposed to Jack Caglione. Maybe not giving him enough credit, but I just think that that's probably where they would have gone. So yeah, that was the tweet that that hit me the most. Was, you know what? I'm just gonna I'm gonna have more faith in this regime and how the organization is being run now, rather than some of the PTSD from the past.
Yeah, 100%. And I was kind of on the same boat, like not even comparing them to old regimes, but I went back and looked at Brian Bridges' record when he was a scouting director in Atlanta, and he definitely leaned more so to prep arms, really. It was a lot of prep pitchers in his history with those top 5 picks. So I kind of thought that even though it was pretty college-heavy at the top there, that Rayner or Connor Griffin was a guy that I thought would get a pretty good look by the Royals as a potential, 5-tool guy with a lot of question marks, but still probably one of the more higher upsides in this draft. So I kind of went in thinking that it was probably going to be one of those two, even if there were some surprises there at 106 like Cags. So yeah, it is. And Cags is a different player than what we've kind of seen. He's that power hitter with a lot of swing and miss, and with a potential two-way player thing, it felt like it was just not a guy that the Royals would traditionally be interested in. So we're bucking trends on all fronts here, and very excited to have Cags in the organization to see how his career develops from here.
Josh Kaiser's our guest, One Royal Way podcast. How long do you think he pitches in the organization, or do you think he is a guy that the organization truly wants to make a two-way player and get to the big leagues being able to do both?
We were talking about that on the podcast. Like, there's no way they're going to let him pitch. Like, he's going to immediately go to the bat, and got kind of excited about him being just focused on one. He's not half-assing two things. He's whole-assing one, and we were kind of excited about that potential and what he could do when he's focused. But then the news came out that the Royals are announcing him as a two-way player, which was interesting. And I was also the first one to make the joke, be like, okay, he could sign on that bottom line and then head straight to the batting cages. I think that was my prediction as well. But my official prediction is that we could probably see – I'm going to bet that we might see him a little bit next year at the most on the mound in any capacity. So I would say they give him potentially a good shot to work on it in the offseason, show him what he can do in game situations next year. But if it's anywhere remotely affecting his bat, like Brian Bridges was talking about in the press conference, then I can see them definitely pulling the plug on that, or at least shelving it until he's proven that the bat's not going to work. There's too much swing and miss, and let's see what we got. If he's like 26 years old at AA and hasn't really progressed much, I could totally see them falling back as an insurance policy. It's always fun to have 100 in the tank, just in case you need it.
Yeah, and I remember back when Brendan McKay went number 3 or 4 to the Rays, and he was like the consensus number 1 overall pick, two-way player. But he had told teams, I'm not signing unless I get to play, get to pitch and bat. Unless I get to play first and pitch, I'm not going to sign. And so it was the Rays that eventually took him, gave him a huge signing bonus above slot, and allowed him to do both. And he has battled injuries throughout his career, and he's never progressed as a guy that was, a really good bat, which I thought was going to ultimately be what he ended up being, was a guy who was going to be a hitter. But, and fall back on the pitching. But they wanted to develop both of those at the same time, and it's been a while, and it's taken a long time. That's what maybe why he was there at number 6 is he needed a promise from an organization if he's going to sign that they're going to make him a two-way player, and they announced him as a two-way player. But then in the press conference, we hear J.J. Piccolo and Brian Bridges say that, J.J. saying we love his bat. That's first and foremost where we are. Brian Bridges saying at the plate is where he's more natural. And then saying he wants to pitch. He wants to do both. So it's like, yes, he wants to do this. And because he wants to do this, we are going to at least start off his career by letting him do this. If it works out, awesome. That's amazing. You got a bonus in a guy that can pitch and throw 98, 100 miles an hour with a couple of different pitches that he'll have to hone in. But I'm with you. I don't want it taken away from what will be his moneymaker, what will make him a stud in Major League Baseball, which is 50 home run potential and light tower power, and a guy who's got elite bat-to-ball skills. Even though he chases a lot, he puts bat on the ball a lot, and that's what ultimately is going to make him a franchise-type player to put in the middle of the lineup.
Yeah, 100%. I think there's something to that, him being there and him falling, and the fact that they were, like, both parties seemed very confident in him immediately signing and being ready to hit the ground running in the next week or so. So it definitely seemed like something like that could have been a selling point. The Royals were the first one on the draft board to be like, yeah, we're interested in letting you, explore these both sides of this coin, and let's get started. So I could definitely see that being the case, and if that's the case, then they got at least a contingency and insurance policy on the bat, which, like you said, could be superstar level type of thing. We could look back on this in 3 years, being like, man, I can't believe they got him at 6. And at the same time, that the swing and miss is there, the chase is there. The Royals have a very aggressive, but now they've kind of leaned towards they want power, they want slug at the plate there quite a bit, especially if you're going to have some swing and miss. So he seems to be fitting the mold of where they're kind of leaning in, at least on the major league level, kind of their whole theory and hitting practice that they have going on. He seems to be the perfect player. So it kind of all makes sense at that point.
Where does if things go according to plan, where is he playing, and what does Jack Caglione look like in a Royals uniform? I'll just say, like, where's he playing? Where is he in the lineup if when he's making his major league debut, or he's playing every day if things go according to plan at the plate?
I mean, obviously, at least DH if he pushes Vinny off of first base because his glove is pretty good. That could be potentially there too. But I think at that point, if Vinny keeps on the track and goes to where we think he'll be, this is going to be his team, and it's going to be really hard to push him off of anything at that point. So if that's the case, then I think that arm will absolutely play in right field, and then we'll kind of hit the ground running to see if we can get him out there, figure that out. But it is going to be a process because he is not great at running. He's pretty slow. He's 6'5", 250, so I think there's a lot of body for him to be moving around in that outfield, and that could definitely be a case. But he's got the arm for right field for sure. But I think it's just going to have to be wherever the team is at that point. I mean, if we're looking at like 2027, it could be very hard to move Vinny off of first base at that point. So I would be looking to try to make him a right fielder and see where we get. And if that's not the case, then he can definitely be DHing pretty easily.
Yeah, I'm with you. If I had my guess, I would guess that he's in the middle of the lineup playing right field. Yeah, he's athletic for a first baseman. But you're right. He's not out there. He's not running like a gazelle. He's not a deer out there in the outfield. If he were to have to play in the grass as opposed to playing in the dirt, but that arm, you hate to waste it over at first base if he is athletic enough to play one of the corner spots, to play right field and use that arm. I don't know if he is, but I like to find out if he is. And if you can have Vinny over at first base and Jack in right field and Bobby Witt at shortstop, and that's your 2, 3, 4. I feel pretty damn good about that, or maybe 2, 3, 5 if Salvi's still batting fourth, whatever it is. I don't know. Just if he's in that lineup, it just makes such a big difference to think about how good he can be, and to have Bobby Witt in front of him and driving him home, or Bobby Witt, Vinny, whatever it might be. So I think ultimately he ends up as a right fielder, but certainly he could stay at first base, and Vinny could move to DH full time if Salvi at that point has moved out of Major League Baseball and is not playing anymore. At some point, Salvi's going to have to stop playing baseball.
I don't believe that.
I know that's a reality. I don't want to acknowledge it, but I do think at some point he will. Maybe 30 years from now we'll find out.
And if we're dreaming here, if we're talking about what it's going to look like down the line, if we're talking about all things work out and all players, that's not going to happen. But if all the players that we think at the top of their farm system work out, you're talking about Cags, you're talking about Blake Mitchell, you're talking about Carter Jensen, you're talking about Gavin Cross, you're talking about Vinny Pasquantino, all from the left side of the plate. All those guys have great discipline. They have great power. And if we're talking about a new stadium, maybe we're talking about short portion out there in right field to see just how crazy these home run totals can get in a new stadium. Just throwing it out there. But it is a lot of power there from the left side of the plate to get excited about.
You mentioned Carter Jensen, and I tweeted it out yesterday, and I'll ask again, just in general, but it's about damn time that he gets a promotion to Double A. Like, what more does he have to do at High A to where you go, all right, let's see him. Let's have him get a little more seasoning for another month or 2 months. I mean, like, let's see him at Double A. I know Luka's there, but that's fine. Let's see Carter at Double A and move him up and advance him and see what the bat does and see what the bat looks like at Northwest Arkansas.
You are preaching to the choir on this front. It is a running joke on the podcast where I am shoehorning Carter Jensen spotlights on a regular basis on that show. I completely agree. I think he's absolutely got he's done everything he can, and it's about that time. But it is also important to remember that he just turned 20, right? So he's still very young, even for High A. And he gets that bump to Double A, then he's still relatively young. So that would be the only reason why I think that he would make that jump, or he would not make that jump. But I think it's time. I've been saying it for probably 8 weeks now. He needs to get up there. But I'm with you. Carter Jensen needs to be in Northwest Arkansas ASAP.
Let's do it. The Royals took David Shields at number 41, left-handed pitcher, high school pitcher. Speaking of being young, he's still 17 years old. He reclassified to the 2024 draft, which that's interesting. Maybe shows how weak some agents thought this draft was. So advising some of the clients, he ain't the only one that reclassified to this particular draft. But David Shields is a guy that reportedly the Royals wanted at number 39. They traded that pick to get Hunter Harvey. He was there at 41. And it is not like the NFL, we know that, where if the Royals wanted David Shields at 39, I don't think they worried about him getting to 41 since they probably already had the deal done. And especially last night when, whether it was Brian Bridges or JJ, I can't remember who it was, but it was like, what about David Shields and signing? Yeah, we're good. We're fine. Essentially, he's already signed. That's why we took him at number 41, and that's why we were comfortable trading the number 39 pick, is because we got our guys that we wanted in the first and second round.
Yeah, a left-hander from a cold state. I mean, when has that ever been a prep? When has that ever been a problem for this organization? It's a lot of fun, but it's a little different than the Frank Mazzucato. I do joke about I say that tongue-in-cheek, but left-handed prep from Pennsylvania, 6'2", 210, so the frame is projectable, already sitting about 88 to 92, which is where Mazzucato is now, and he can touch up to 94. So good sweeping breaking ball, good changeup, so a lot to work with there. For this team, and it does seem like they are trying to dip into those prep arm classes over the last three years or so. Definitely last year with like the Hero Wyatt pick and the Watson. I'm sorry, I'm completely blanking on. What's his name? Blake
Mitchell?
Nope. I don't know. It was I can't believe I'm blanking on this, but the prep they took in the second round, great fastball, lot to work with. I cannot remember his name for the life of me at this point, but yeah, they're trying to dip their.
I'll find it for you while you do that. While you talk, I'll find it for you. I promise.
Okay, great. But they are trying to do what they can with prep arms at this point, which I thought was interesting, and adding David Shields to that group is a good upside guy. Is only like further. Solidifying that idea, but this guy might have a little bit more upside than those other ones, and he's definitely still raw, but it does feel like it's something they can definitely work with a little bit more ahead of schedule than Frank Mazzucato was at that time. Blake Walters, there it is.
Yeah, there were two Blakes. They took the Blakes. They took the Blake Mitchell and the Blake Walters. So the Blakes to start off with the draft last year. Visiting with Josh Kaiser, One Royal Way podcast. All right, Josh, let's talk about Hunter Harvey. That was the move that was made on Saturday, and I saw a lot of the reaction was, hey, that's great. Got him into the bullpen, good arm, stuff, one of the best, if not the best relievers the Royals have right now. Did they give up too much? Where do you fall on the trade with Caden Wallace, the number 39 pick, to bring in Hunter Harvey from the Nationals?
I mean, Caden Wallace was regarded as one of the top 10 third base prospects in all of baseball. That doesn't necessarily mean that, he's going to achieve that, and that also is very relative to the position. So even by MLB pipeline standards, he was basically like a 50 grade, which is, an everyday player, but not going to be a superstar by any means. And that was by far the highest rating they had on him. So I was personally a little bit more on he's a quad A guy, fringe type that could do a lot of things really well, but nothing great. And that never really works out for guys at third base. And that's basically where his spot was going to be. So in my opinion, it was a quad A guy ahead of schedule as far as like just finding that out about him. And I was a little bit personally really surprised considering the situation of this farm system that they included that 39 pick. I thought that they would definitely, be keeping that in order to bolster this farm system and kind of keep it growing a little bit. But I was then reminded by my buddy Jared Perkins, works for Prospect Live, that this draft class as a whole, is widely seen as pretty shallow, especially relative to other classes. So that kind of tells me that the Royals also thought about that. They had their guy like Shields at 41 that they were confident that they'd go ahead and sign, and that made them comfortable to be able to devalue pick 39 a little bit more. So I was also on board with it being like, it seems pretty steep, but as you kind of set that in and realized like what the value was ultimately, I was very much on board with this. And I was also operating on the assumption that he had 2.5 seasons of control Harvey, which is only 1.5 seasons. So it was kind of like an adjustment during the processing, but in the end, I do like the deal. I do like the price, and even if everybody kind of thinks it's pretty, I'm in on it for sure.
Okay, so what are the Royals getting then in Hunter Harvey? You mentioned the 1.5 years of team control, but as a bullpen guy, is he immediately installed as the best bullpen arm? Not necessarily installed as a closer, but when he gets to the Royals on Friday, is he their best bullpen arm right now?
I think so. As far as if he's going to be a closer or not, I think that he was a setup man there in Washington for the most part. Didn't have any saves in the year, but will be interesting to see what Q does with that. I think it could be a rotating door, whether it's MacArthur or Harvey at this point. But yeah, he's definitely giving them something that they don't have, a big velo on the fastball, big power fastball that can actually hit and command the zone. So that's something they haven't had very much of this year, which is fun. He gets whiffs, he gets chases, so that's also very fun. He's had 3 straight seasons with a FIP under 3.3, which is also very good. But the downside is he is in the 4th percentile, according to Baseball Savant, in being hit hard. So he does throw hard, but he also gets hit pretty hard. Kauffman's a big stadium, so maybe that'll play to his advantage, and those percentiles will come up a little bit more. But in the end, he's going to give them a little bit different look this season about what's currently in that bullpen. And I think that his weakest pitch right now is his slider, and both Zach Bove and Brian Sweeney are very good at helping pitchers kind of perfect and tweak that slider. So there's potentially some value to unlock in the rest of this season, and definitely over the offseason to see if they can get that slider in a good spot. And the other part about this, I'm not looking ahead too much here, but if we get to this time next year and the Royals are not in it, I would think that if you've definitely unlocked something in Hunter Harvey or he's still pitching at this level, you can still get a package that is very similar to this in value. So it could just be a rental period that you can flip again at the deadline, or you're buying a bullpen guy that's going to bolster that bullpen, knock everybody down on the depth chart a little bit more, give depth that you're looking for, a different look. And it fits perfectly. So I love the deal, love Hunter Harvey in that situation, and I'm ready to go.
I enjoyed some of the reaction from the Twitter sphere when the Royals selected Harvey, or when they traded for Harvey, because, for years they have, a lot of people, myself included, looking at how the development of pitchers have, stalled with this Royals organization. It's been lacking. And the analytics, it's been lacking. The communication of analytics, it's been lacking. And why that is, who's to say, whatever it is, with this new regime coming in and their focus on analytics, focus on communication, focus on development is certainly seems to be different. I bring that up because then the Royals trade for Hunter Harvey, and the reaction is, this guy's got a 4.2 ERA. I mean, what the hell? Like a 4, really? He's got a 4.2 ERA and a 1.2 WHIP. Like, this is unbelievable. The Royals just traded for a guy that's got a 4.2 ERA. Yep. Okay, but aren't we asking for them to have more of an analytical approach and not just a, scout's honor eye like the Braves? Like, we want to view this a little bit different in the fact that he does have a 3.16 fielding independent pitching. And last year when he had a 2.8 ERA, he had a 3.29 FIP, right? I mean, so, and he had a lower strikeout per 9 last year than he does this year. you mentioned he does get hit hard. That's an issue. He's in now 3% of hard hit rate, but he's in the 90th percentile of fastball velocity, 85th percentile of chase percentage, 76th percentile of strikeout percentage, 75th percentile of walk percentage. So he's striking guys out and not walking a lot of guys, and he's got some pretty good stuff plus numbers, and he can touch 98, 99. He's got a profile that nobody in the bullpen has right now.
Bingo.
So.
Yeah, 100%. And the other part about that is I was looking at his high leverage numbers, and I think all pitchers are going to have a little bit of this going on, but his high leverage versus medium to low leverage is a little bit worse than usual. So I'm curious to see how that kind of plays, especially with MacArthur still being pretty good at the back end of that bullpen as well. But it's all about what Q wants to do. I think he's great at weaponizing the matchups and being able to play those matchups really smartly. There's a good word, Josh. Great in a very non-ironic way. Great. But yeah, I think I have a lot of faith in Q, being able to use both MacArthur and Harvey in their respective roles, and it's gonna work out in the end. So a lot of faith there.
All right, last one for you. Actually, last two for you. Where does Bobby Witt finish tonight in the home run derby?
I think he's going to win it. I'm going to go with the narrative. I love the homecoming type of thing, and that's always been a boost. Like Pete Alonso won in front of Jersey and a few years ago. So I think I think there's a good chance that he does that, and he's got the swing, he's got the short swing, the powerful swing that really is advantageous to that. So I'm going to pick him to win. I'm going to say it.
Okay. I'm picking him to be in the finals against Pete Alonso, and then maybe Alonso winning. But I'll love Bobby Witt winning tonight. That would be badass. And then
it was
go ahead.
A pretty missed opportunity by Jose Ramirez to not have a Royals current or past present Royals pitcher throwing to him in this, because he absolutely controls the universe when he steps in that box against the Royals pitcher. So real problem there.
I want to see tonight if Jose Ramirez is not in a groove from one side of the plate, if he just switches to the other side to see if he can get into a home run groove.
That'd be awesome.
I want to see him do
I'm
that
in on that.
And then the last one for you, where's your confidence level right now for this, quote, second half of the season for the Royals to make the postseason, make the playoffs, get one of these wild cards? Where's your confidence level at that it happens?
If I'm on a scale of 1 to 10, I'm probably at a 5, to be honest with you. I think that they do have everything kind of in front of them to go take. The first, 20, 25 games that they've got coming on there's 6 games against the White Sox, so that's fun. And then after that, it's a bunch of teams that are around 500. So this is really where you're going to make your hay. This is really where you're going to start to separate yourselves in this race. Get out there, take care of business in the first half, see where we are by the end of August, and really get our expectations and the juices flowing in the Kansas City Royals fan base. So I'm probably at a 5 right now, but that could absolutely skyrocket by a month from now.
Yeah, I was thinking right around 50%, right around the 5 out of 10 is where I'm at right now. Could go either way. Josh Kaiser, One Royal Way podcast, joining us. Josh, appreciate the time as always, brother. Enjoy the Derby tonight, the All-Star game tomorrow, the baseball this weekend. We will talk next Monday.
Sounds great, Jason. Appreciate you, boys.
Absolutely. There's Josh Kaiser, One Royal Way podcast. Does a great job there, and they had the live broadcast last night during the draft in breaking down the Royals getting Jack Caglione at number 6, the Royals taking Davis Shields at number 41. I was going to say number 39, but they traded number 39 for Hunter Harvey.
You know what's hard?
At number 41, they got David Shields, left-hander.
With David Shields?
What's that?
One, it's awesome because James Shields is what I think of.
Yeah.
I'll go ahead and say left-handed James Shields because it'll make this way easier.
You should, yeah.
He was born in 2006, and I am having an existential. I ate a cookie, and I'm struggling here. A crisis right now.
Okay, yeah. Usually when I eat a cookie, I can't say existential.
Yeah, right.
It's typical.
What kind of cookie is this?
Is that a brownie?
Wow. Okay. But yeah, born in 2006, and this is hard for me to live, I think, right now, because he's 2006. He's 17.
Yeah, he's still 17 years old, which is awesome, by the way. And the fact that the Royals drafted somebody last night who's
17 years old.
17 years old, and who reclassified to come into this draft. Like he could have one more year in high school, but he reclassified to be in this draft, in 2024 draft instead of 2025, so that he would get drafted earlier in what some of the agents are saying is a weaker draft. So take advantage of maybe getting $2.5 million or two, maybe a little under slot. We'll see.
Sure.
But the Royals, very confident that David Shields is going to be signed. Very confident David Shields is going to be signed.
I'm just saying, the point is, the dude's born in 2006, and he's getting drafted by a major league team. That feels impossible right now. I finally started writing like 2006 on my homework papers.
You had homework in 2006?
Right now I do.
Oh, okay.
From you. You had to write the year, the date, and you're sitting here, dang it.
It was. I had been to Wyoming and back by 2006.
Yeah, I
So,
was.
Yeah.
By the way, though, 5-0. I went to high school, so I get the numbers are always going to be
You went to high
insane.
school?
I was not yet in high school in 2006. Yes, I was. No, I wasn't. Not quite. Not quite.
God. Anyway, go ahead.
5-0, .25 ERA, 52 strikeouts, 3 walks, Pennsylvania Gatorade Baseball Player of the Year. That's insane.
Yeah.
Again, I know high school numbers are always going to be ridiculous, but that to me is just phenomenal. Again, doing that when he is 17. We're not talking about an 18-year-old or a guy who's this massive dude.
Mm-hmm.
He was 17 in all of Pennsylvania. Gatorade Baseball Player of the Year, hitting 94, 95 as a lefty with that fastball.
As a 17-year-old hitting 94 already.
Yeah. That's almost as crazy as the 16-year-old playing for Spain's national team in the Euros last night. That was
and
wild.
balling, dude.
Yeah, not just playing. You're right.
So good, man. That was absurd last night.
Braces still. I mean, that's the funniest part.
So great.
That's awesome.
He has braces on his legs, like he's still Forrest Gumping his way through this Euro tournament. It's unbelievable. The Copa, CONMEBOL. But David Shields, 17-year-old, and I think we learned when the Royals took him at number 41, and some of the reports were out there about the Royals, wanting him at number 39, as to why the Royals were okay trading number 39 to the Nationals as part of the Hunter Harvey deal, is because they knew they had a deal done with David Shields.
Yeah.
So we'll make this trade on Saturday. We want our main guy to be David Shields, who might be under slot. And if we're going to sign him for under slot at number 41, and this is the guy we want, it gives us some flexibility of if somebody's there at number 6 that shouldn't be there, we'll go over slot. Or if somebody's not there that we want, then we can maybe go under slot. We've already got this deal with David Shields taking place. And now in the third round and beyond, we can start going over slot with some of these guys that may or may not want to sign or whatever it might be. But clearly he's good enough to take whatever the Royals have offered him to not go to Miami and play quarterback and pitch.
Yeah, being 6'2", 210, 17 years old, and hitting 95 as a lefty pitcher is that's tantalizing.
Yeah, absolutely. And he's got projectability, and he's athletic. Again, he was going to play quarterback at Miami, and the Royals are going to pay him whatever amount it takes to not go play quarterback at Miami. But I think the fact that they wanted him at 39, they took him at 41, tells you, and trading number 39 tells you what they may think of this draft overall, and also that they had the deal done with David Shields. It's not like the NFL. Nobody was going to take David Shields before 41.
Sure.
Because the Royals already had a deal with him.
Well, what I think is interesting about this draft in general is you have the guy who's going to compete hopefully pretty soon, right, in Jack.
Mm-hmm.
Then you have a guy who's hopefully projectable down the road right here in Shields. But they also are trying to win this year. So what do? They go and make a move to bring in Hunter Harvey. The Royals, quite frankly, have done the best of both worlds, if you will. Yeah. The win now while also still trying to not mortgage your future and go all in.
Yeah.
I've been impressed so far. I'd still like to see maybe another small deal, bullpen arm. I don't think just because you got Hunter Harvey, you're saying, all right, now the Royals are good in the bullpen for the entirety of the season. No, I know he still has one more year of arbitration left after this year, which is also something to remember. Hunter Harvey does.
Yep.
But I'd like to see one more bullpen arm and maybe a corner outfield bat. I'm still enamored by Taylor Ward. That's not going to not be the guy I think the Royals should go after. So overall, I think of the past, 24 hours, hard not to be impressed with what the Royals have done.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we'll see what ends up happening. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. I do want to talk about if this was the move. Was this the move the Royals made? Trading adding to their team, making a move. Was Hunter Harvey it? And this was the big one that they put out there so they can add to their bullpen. We'll talk about that coming up on the other side of the break. More Zone next.
All right, folks, as I said, they're giving away green light strains for gold.
KSHB 41 sports director, joining us in the 1 o'clock hour. We got learn funniest best from the weekend. Was this the move? Was this the move that the Royals had made and they were waiting to make, and we were asking ourselves, is it going to be a bat? Is it going to be a bullpen arm? What move will the Royals make? What's a more important move for the Royals to make? Do they need the bat or do they need somebody out of the bullpen? And we've gone back and forth on that because at one point it was like, all right, the offense is playing really well, but this bullpen is killing them. And then the offense struggled, and it's like, well, you can't really hold a lead if you don't get one, so they need some help. And over the last month or so, their corner outfielders have played some pretty decent baseball. I mean, MJ Melendez, over the last 25 games, is batting .280 and getting on base at .350. He's OPSing at like .860. So he's been playing pretty damn well for, an offensive player. For as bad as he was, he's still not at the Mendoza line, but he was at like 150, when this stretch of 25 games started. So we'll see what happens with the ankle. He left Sunday's game with the ankle sprain. If it's severe enough that he goes on the IL, that would suck. Does he just have to miss a couple of games starting this weekend, and he's got this week to, recover from that? We'll find out. But Hunter Renfroe was getting hot and then went on the IL, and he came back, and he's been, decent. So,
dude, Hunter Renfroe's raking, man.
Yeah. So the corner outfielders have been playing well enough over the last month. It's interesting because the offense has had some stretches where it's just been really bad. But in 25 games, 24 starts for MJ Melendez, batting .280. Getting on base at .350, slugging .520. He's got 6 doubles, 4 home runs, 7 walks in those, 25 games, 21 strikeouts. He's never going to be a guy that's going to have more walks than strikeouts. But again, it's an .870 OPS for MJ Melendez. And so we've gone back and forth in this. And Hunter Harvey is the move that they made. And hearing J.J. Piccolo yesterday on the trade and, and Saturday as well, I think, when the trade was made, and JJ talked in discussing that this thing had to get done before the draft, obviously because they traded the 39 pick.
Yeah.
So it needed to take place. And JJ saying they were steadfast in their demands that if they're going to give up Caden Wallace, if they're going to give up the number 39 pick, they have to have team control after this year. It's not just about this year, it's about next year as well. And Hunter Harvey has a year and a half of team control. So he'll be on the Royals next year as well. But J.J. Piccolo also said this when asked about if there's anything else in the works. And he said, I think this is a burden off our shoulders that we were able to get somebody that we were targeting. We'll continue to look and see how we can improve the team. We have some time to sit back, look at our club now, and decide how much we want to push. This is clearly a move that's made for this major league team to be better. So we'll continue to be active and see if the right trade, the right acquisition is out there for us. What do you make of those comments, and if Hunter Harvey is sort of the move that the Royals were looking at?
That's kind of what it sounded like.
Mm-hmm.
But also, I don't think they're done if another opportunity presents itself. That maybe means Mason Miller's off, which I don't think we thought either, or the Tanner Scotts. But again, I think it's like the Michael Kopechs of the world, the tier down where you go, okay, they bring something different to the bullpen because, let's be real, Chris Stratton's getting shelled, right? It's obviously, the lefties have been fine.
Mm-hmm.
Will Smith obviously gave a run last game, but Will Smith's starting to turn things around. I don't know how much faith you have in him, but he's at least starting to, since that horrendous start, he's been pretty solid. Sam Long's been pretty damn good, man. Let's be real. Sam Long and Zerpa have been the two almost most consistent guys out there. Zerpa has been a little bit hit around. Schreiber has really taken a massive step back, but MacArthur's back to being the guy I think we all expected him to be. A good pitcher, not a great closer, but a good bullpen arm, right? I think if you're looking at a guy, and again, this was interesting to me, the DFA'd Nick Anderson.
Yeah.
It wasn't a let's send someone else down. It wasn't let's find a guy who has options. We'll send someone down, and then we'll add Hunter Harvey. Right? It wasn't we'll find someone in the 40 who we don't think is going to be here. We'll make a spot. It was straight up a guy for guy in the majors. It was Nick Anderson. You are not performing. you're gone. I get Nick Anderson. You look at the ERA, it's actually lower than Hunter Harvey. This is when you have to actually look at the underlying numbers. Yeah. Nick Anderson's been bad. Hunter Harvey's been a little unlucky. You can see the traits of Hunter Harvey and what the bullpen needs. The bullpen of the majors for the Royals right now does not need Nick Anderson. He's not bringing anything to the table in the 6th inning in a blowout. Sorry, he's not. Hunter Harvey can immediately step into that 8th inning role. Hopefully he's John Schreiber early in the year is what you're expecting for him to be while you still have James MacArthur, which again leads me to believe if you got a Michael Kopech, you try and get 7, 8, 9 unless you trust Zerp, unless you trust Sam Long for that role.
The month of June has not been good for Hunter Harvey, and J.J. Piccolo acknowledged that and saying that he hasn't been good as of late. It could be a little bit of being tired, something the Royals will have to monitor, overuse, etc. In the month of June, he had 16 outings, or since June, since the beginning of June through early July, 16 outings. He had 3 bad outings where he got blown up in 3 outings, where he just went out there and got torched. This is not we joke with Les Norman about, well, if you take this away or take that away. This is sort of the bigger picture of the whole thing. 13 of the 16 outings, he's got a 2.9 ERA with 16 strikeouts in 12 innings and 4 walks in 12 innings. He's got a 1 whip and a 2.9 ERA, and he's striking out, 16 guys in 12 innings. So what would that be, 11 Ks per 9, something like that? Roughly, quick math. So he's been good. He's had 3 bad outings. And so that has hurt the overall numbers for Hunter Harvey. Hopefully it is a rest thing and, a usage thing. Or it's just simply, you're going to have some days where you go to a bullpen guy and he's not going to pitch well.
He's also thrown 45 innings, which is 7 more than the leading Royals bullpen candidate. Yeah. Right? MacArthur has thrown 38 1/3, Stratton 38, Schreiber, it feels like we see him all the time, 35 2/3, right? 9 1/3 more than Schreiber this year. Just to put into perspective how much, again, Washington doesn't have a great team. They have a great bullpen closer in Kyle Finnegan. I don't think he's maybe on that. Maybe he is on the table. I'd be surprised by that. Harvey was their bridge to Finnegan. So he was used every single time out, it felt like.
Yep. We'll take a timeout, come back, we'll wrap up this hour, continue rolling more right after this. Sterling Holmes, Dylan Michaels. We had up until 2 o'clock. Coming up at 1 o'clock will be the start of day 2 for Major League Baseball, starting with the third round of the draft. And the Royals with a top pick in the third round. We'll see who they take. It'll be very close to 1 o'clock when they make their selection. So we'll keep you up to date as to who the Royals end up taking. Mick Schaefer's going to join us in the 1 o'clock hour. And we'll see what this day will bring over the next 7 rounds, round 3 through 10. And a number of local kids that could be drafted today, including our guy Trey Snyder. You know, our intern Trey Snyder, top 200 prospect in Major League Baseball in the draft.
Let's go.
Dude.
So let's go. Trey.
Zone intern Trey Snyder.
Yes.
Will be the
That's
first,
how they
be
should
the,
be announced.
I was going to say, it's the first line, then Tennessee.
That's
then,
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tennessee commit, Liberty North, shortstop, intern for the zone, Trey Snyder. Selected by the Royals.
Electric. You can say he's in the zone.
Oh, yeah. Well, everybody else is right now, too.
free delivery, and better value. Go to GuaranteedFoods.com.
Hanging out on a Monday.
My favorite bump music.
We all turn into air guitar, air bass, air drum, slap it to bass.
Well, you do bass. You go way high. Mick takes
Slap
over
into bass.
on drums, and I get the keyboards.
You can always tell what instrument you're playing, not necessarily by the hands, but by the face you're making. Right? Yeah, that's a bass face right there. This is drums. And head's always moving kind of with the beat, and you're happy because you're playing drums. You don't have to worry about notes and stuff. You're just going to bang some drums.
Guitar is, and then every time you change it,
I don't know what keyboard. What's keyboard face look like?
I don't know. I'm really a keyboard player, just kind of vibing.
You got to go back and forth with the head.
Yeah, eyes are closed definitely on keyboard.
It's all about feel.
It is.
It's all about feel.
Dylan, lead singer's back there. He's
he's rocking the mic.
He's the
massive vocalist
musical family, right?
Yeah, that's right. From an entire musical family, right? You're like the Bop kids.
Yeah, they all
Hanson
the
family?
talent went to two people, and I was left with nothing. So.
I don't believe you. I don't believe you at all.
No. I play the iPod.
There you go. See, there you go.
Nice.
Jack Johnson is down in Texas today. He's at some press conferences, etc. The draft taking place at the All-Star break this year for some reason. Whatever.
It's at the All-Star site.
It's at the All-Star site.
I like that.
There. So
that.
Yeah. Right now on MLB.com, as they're getting ready to stream the second or the third round through the 10th round, Jonathan Mayo and Jim Callis are both wearing cowboy hats on the set. So they are all really, really getting into the cowboy theme of that. So that's going on today.
I almost think that the draft should be Wednesday, Thursday, right? The 2 days we're not playing anymore.
Yeah.
Instead, you're kind of sharing the headlines today and yesterday with, okay, who the starting pitcher is going to be, who's winning the home run derby, and then you have the draft mixed in. It's almost like it's too much going on.
I was very confused about when the ESPYs were this year.
Because usually they're that Wednesday or Thursday.
Wednesday of the All-Star break because it's always when I'm in Tahoe.
I think the production crew was...
Hopefully you didn't watch.
Yeah, the production crew was confused of when the ESPYs was, too.
God.
So.
The only video I saw was when they were talking or when there was the mention of somebody almost dying, Gleason almost dying, and then they cut to DeMar Hamlin. A one shot of DeMar Hamlin in the crowd. I saw that clip that people put on the internet of random that Steve Gleason talked about, dying, and they immediately cut to DeMar Hamlin.
At one point, they started replaying the ESPYs in the middle of the ESPYs. Something happened. Something weird happened. They took it from like 4 commercial breaks ago. And I'm like, I've seen this already. I've seen Rob Lowe out on the stage already. He's out here twice.
Here's what I guarantee. Here's what happened. It was tape delayed on the West Coast.
Yeah, I bet.
So when the tape delay started, I bet it accidentally just went over the entire country. They just clicked play on the tape delay. I bet that's what happened. It was probably right around that time. Because anytime I'm in Tahoe, I'm like, oh, cool. It's like 4 o'clock. I get to watch the ESPYs. No, got to wait till 8 o'clock.
You got to watch me drink some beers instead.
Yeah, no, I would rather watch the ESPYs. I would have much rather watched the ESPYs. No, that Wednesday night during the ESPYs, you were playing baseball beer pong with Miles Teller and David Wells and The Miz and TJ Oshie. So, yeah, that was a little bit
were?
Yeah, it was pretty fun.
He was. We have video evidence. Yeah, he was on a team with David Wells and Miles Teller.
First shot, what'd I do, Jason?
You hit a double.
First shot.
Yep. 2-out double with Miles Teller on third.
I'm all of a sudden not interested in the story anymore.
Right. I mean,
because you're going to be the hero of it, I'm sure.
He was the hero in the first inning. I'll say that. He was the ringer. I just loved it. Like, I wish we'd have had video. Maybe Chad has video of this, but so everybody's teaching the game.
What is baseball beer pong? I've never played it.
It's a combination of beer pong and flip cup, but with the rules of baseball. You have 4 cups set up on each side,
so we're
right?
Really going to explain the whole thing.
Single, double, triple, home run. 4 cups in a row.
So really doing this?
You have 2 cups on each side. You can steal a base if someone's on base. You have to. I thought he was intrigued. He asked me, how do you play baseball? So I gave him the rules.
I knew baseball.
That's it.
So I wish we would have had the video of this, but Miles Teller goes first, hits a triple, and then his buddy gets out. David Wells gets out, and then Sterling steps up there. And Sterling, if you could have just seen this, just like sort of the I'm a ringer, I know what I'm doing. He takes the
he was walking around with a lot of false confidence.
He takes the ping pong ball, dips it in water, takes it out, flips it up in the air to his right hand, to his left hand, drives it off back to the right hand, boop, double. And I thought, oh my freaking God.
I'm impressed.
Yeah, oh my freaking
Take that
God.
smile off your face.
Is this really what we're doing here?
And then I walk out after the game and see a chick win $23K on the slot machine.
That was probably because of you as well.
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
The Royals have selected.
Just saying. I walk by.
Drew Beam, right-handed pitcher from Tennessee, University of Tennessee.
You just took him?
Drew Beam. The Royals have taken. He is the number 64 rated prospect at MLB.com. So there you go. The Royals got him with the number 76 pick in the draft in pick round 3.
Where was this at? Was that at a hotel, or were you in like an Airbnb getting invited to a big party?
It was at the high limit room specific back room. So they have a high limit room where all the high limit tables and everything.
In the casino?
Yeah, and then back behind that is a specific room with a door that you could get in.
And you can bet on.
No, there's no betting in there. There's just people hanging out.
There is an open
drinks.
bar, though.
There's an open bar getting drinks.
Yeah.
And that's where a lot of the celebrities were like hanging out, as in like, don't bother me. We're going to be back here drinking and having fun without people bothering us, as opposed to us that were taking pictures and videoing.
I took 0 pictures and 0 videos I'm
one
glad
picture.
you guys did.
I wasn't taking any video. I took one picture just for Sterling's sake, that there was proof of him being on the team with David Wells and Miles Teller. I took that picture. There was some video being taken as well, and there was almost a fight between Miles Teller and TJ Oshie.
It wasn't a legit fight. We had to go check the monitors, the security monitors. We were trying to figure out. They were, the game gets pretty heated.
Yes, everybody knows
I just
that.
learned it. So yeah.
Oh yeah. You can imagine though, right? You can imagine.
You really went back to the security cameras?
No, we were joking.
Okay.
We were trying to go back, though. No, the security wouldn't do it for us. We were trying to see who actually started the argument.
You get some numbers?
TJ or Miles.
You've been texting them since?
I got a few numbers.
Did you get theirs?
No.
Miles Teller?
A man doesn't tell.
He doesn't get numbers.
So
you don't
no,
kiss and
then.
tell, so no. Not. You didn't rub your mustache.
I shaved the mustache now, yeah.
I know.
It's gone. It's a sad day. Well, we have pictures.
It's picture day.
We have picture day.
It's picture day here at the elementary school. I'm very excited. And I didn't know I wore a football jersey.
Is it here?
I had no idea. Yes, it's here. Yes. We're taking our pictures. Mick Schaefer is with us here on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Not a part of the pictures?
No.
Oh,
not
shoot.
today. No.
I've been on the show longer than these two.
That's a great point.
I forgot.
Really good point.
That was my fault, Jason.
3 picture days for this show.
Yeah, it's on me.
I've yet to be a part of it.
So I was going to tell you this story on Thursday night.
I'm a substitute teacher. It's fine.
On Thursday night, we spent about, 25 minutes hanging out with Nate Bargatze?
Yeah.
Just like me, Sterling, my wife, and Nate Bargatze.
You 4?
Just the 4 of us. Just shooting the breeze and talking. And he was talking about the one time that he went to
Big Slick.
Big Slick. I was talking to him about that he needs to have more stops in Kansas City. I told him the story about your brother. And he was like, thank you for telling me that story. He's like, that's one of the coolest stories I've ever heard. He's like, thank you so much for telling me
about
that,
how
man.
my brother wanted to quit comedy.
Quit comedy because this guy's so good and so natural at it. And he was like, seriously, thank you. Anybody that came up and was like, man, I just think you're funny. He's like, thank you so much for telling me. Like, really, thank you. He's very nice. We talked about Nashville. His parents are from Louisville, so we talked about that. Had that so
boy!
Then at that point, it was on.
Yeah.
Then it was like, okay, we're peas in a pod. Now my wife's involved in the conversation. They're talking about high schools and where they go. Then we talked. Then his dad's there. Then his dad comes over.
The magician
starts talking. That's right.
It was long enough that I had time to go grab a bourbon at the open bar, walk back, wait in line, and still hang out and talk.
This is in that same little secret room.
No, this was at karaoke night.
Okay.
When Travis Kelce was just blasting.
Before Travis Kelce.
Yeah, it was before. Pre-White Snake, post Marcus Allen.
What song was he singing?
White Snake, Here I Go Again.
Oh, let's go.
And he won. He won the celebrity karaoke contest.
Jason won the long drive. He won celebrity.
That's right. It's all about it, and neither of them won the tournament.
Yeah,
I heard they both played bad.
The one swing I saw.
Kelce played okay. Jason Kelce played freaking brutal, and I hate whoever had him on their team.
Dude,
that sucks. Oh, it was me.
We get to the 12th tee, which is the par 3 that you can win a boat on. Kylie Kelsey's there. She's very nice. We're talking with her. She's watching Jason, her husband, try and win a boat.
Kelsey. She's watching Jason Kelce, not me.
Yeah. And He gets up there.
It's a hole in one for a boat.
Hole in one for a boat. Travis, nice swing. He's right at the green, great swing. The Miz, I think, puts it on the green as well. Fine. Jason Kelsey proceeds to shank the ball straight into the crowd. I mean, just a hosel rocket. Did
he hit somebody?
I couldn't see. The boat was kind of blocking the way a little bit, but
it looked like a bottle rocket that you would let up and just go just straight.
What was the distance on that hole?
I don't know. It was probably like 160-ish.
And that was hole 12 that Tim Brown aced earlier.
Yeah, it
right?
may have been 160-ish.
Oh, wow.
But you just look on Jason's face when you hit one like that, and you just immediately it doesn't matter celebrity or not. No one wants to hit a dude on the golf course. No, and I felt so bad for him.
Yeah, it was rough for them, but that's all right.
His kids watching him.
Yeah. Yeah. No, they had fun though. I mean, it was you got the Miz, you got Jason Kelsey and Travis Kelsey. I love how everybody just assumes certain things. Like on Twitter, Travis Kelsey's performance of Whitesnake, and it was his actual performance. I mean, he was in character while he was singing, right? Yeah. The emotions coming from his face, his fist closed, how many times he's on his knees singing and rocking out to Whitesnake, right? And then he wins Celebrity Karaoke, and he gives a big hug, and he's holding it up, and he's like, this is a great, Taylor, this one's for you, Taylor, right? And if you look at like so many reactions, it was like, good God, he's always drunk. Why is Kelsey always freaking drunk? Every time you see him, he's drunk. The guy has a problem. And I'm like, he wasn't drunk. he didn't even have a beer at that point. He was filming Grotesquerie, the TV show on FX that he's a part of, all day Thursday, got on a private plane, landed in Tahoe, got in a car, drove to Celebrity Karaoke, got out of the car, got up on stage and performed Whitesnake.
That's pretty good.
And people are, he's so wasted. And like, no, he's just having fun. Like, that's it. Also, who cares if he's drunk or not? Like, who cares? Like, even on the golf course on Friday, he wasn't drinking as much. Like, I think he probably wanted to take it a little more serious than typically did. But like that, if Travis Kelsey doing that, putting on that performance, people are just assuming he's wasted. So if you're going to assume he's drunk with that, you're going to assume he's drunk anytime.
The only snippets of anybody's life that they see, that's all that's existed. There's nothing in between. There's nothing before or after.
He's either a football player or a drunk.
Yes, that's it. That's all I've
He
ever
leaves
seen.
the field and he immediately starts shotgunning beers.
There's no Gatorades. The Gatorades are just vodka.
That's right.
It's just vodka Gatorade.
Yeah. Were you guys out there for, this would have been Thursday, Jason Kelsey and like three others were in like a beer chugging contest. Did you guys see that at all?
I didn't see that. No, I didn't
saw the
know
video
that
of that.
Yeah, I saw the video of that. So he did a Zoom with us and Aaron, and he got there and he's really sweaty and what looked like water all over his shirt button down. Was great. Accommodated us for, I mean, he's probably on that Zoom for maybe an hour with Philly stations. There was us, KC people, national people. It was just great.
Yeah, that was Thursday. That's when we were getting ready to have him on the show. And then
I saw the
away.
video,
Right.
and I looked at the timestamp, and I took it back. It was like minutes before he stepped on the Zoom with us. He won a beer chugging contest. Like, I'm going to go do media now for an hour, and then I'll come back.
No, that was really cool because like he was signing autographs, and he was going to come on the show, and then he signed autographs so long that when finally the security stepped in and was like, Jason, we got to go, and he started walking over towards like the tent where everybody is, and then the guy stopped him and said, Jason, we got to go this way for your media stuff. And then he was gone for the day. So it was you guys that saw it.
That was
cool.
it.
He signed
that's
so
cool.
many autographs.
And
it was
you got to
incredible.
play beer pong with athletes and actors. I just got Jason Kelsey on the Zoom for a few minutes.
I just wanted to talk to Rob McElhaney on the air. That was it. That was my whole trip out there.
We talked to Rob, not on air.
I did
Come
talk
on.
to Rob off the air. He's very nice individual. I didn't get a chance. He was very bad on the golf tournament. And if you drafted Rob McElhaney, I feel bad for you.
Is that you too?
Also on my team.
I'm feeling pretty good now that I'm not the one buying lunch.
Did anyone have Tim Brown? Did you
No.
see Tim Brown?
Yeah, Tim Brown had the ace on
Got the
on
boat.
Friday. Yeah,
That's
he got
great.
the boat.
Great quote. I didn't even know about the boat. I just saw the boat there, and Marcus Allen said, "Man, you just won a boat."
Did they have more than Did they have more than one boat? If they got more than one hole in one,
I think they get
good call.
shoes, maybe.
17th hole is $1 million. So if you hit a hole in one on Sunday, I
and
believe
for
it is.
so many of those guys, right, $1 million is like $100 to them.
A $200,000 boat is like a Camry for me.
Yes.
going to buy.
Is that right?
I'm saying
It's
like
a
it's not
moped.
even
that.
They got a
not even
moped.
that.
It's like a BMX.
God, I
There
love
you
that.
go.
It's
Yeah.
just So Joe Sakic in 2011 On Sunday, hole number 17, hit a hole-in-one and won $1 million. So it's got to be hole number 17 on Sunday for you to do that. Marshall Falk hit a hole-in-one on number 17.
I'm sure the
2009.
pin placements are very friendly.
Yeah,
for
the
these
one on
things.
12, the way they had it was you had a little backstop.
Yeah.
It was tucked like on the front
Yeah, it
left,
wasn't.
but it was tucked a little bit. But you had a
Everything's probably
it was
sloping
sloped
towards
in. If
it,
you hit the
yeah.
right
Yeah,
side
yeah.
and a little deep, it was going to come back towards it.
But also, it's sloping towards it, but after that pin placement at the end of the green was this huge drop-off.
Yeah, so
into
if you missed it and you went for it and you're a little
sure.
short, you were
You're going to shoot an 8.
That's double bogey central. So it was
fall off a cliff.
Yeah, it kind of was. It was so sloped downhill that off the green was just like in a canyon.
I saw one Charles Barkley shot. Only one. I got it on video. I didn't feel like posting it because I feel like it's a little.
Barkley was fine
Lot
this weekend.
of cuss words. I saw one shot, and it was exactly what I wanted. He had about 60 yards in on a wedge, hit it 9 yards, just completely chunked it, and the words that came from his mouth were absolutely electric. I go, that's exactly what I wanted to see from this guy.
Did he call himself a knucklehead?
I'm close.
Knucklehead. Ernie. I missed it, Ernie.
Did he say that? That would have been awesome.
I wish you would have brought Ernie in there.
What if Shaq was just right next to him, just laughing at him? That would have been amazing. Shaq and Kenny just follow
Just
him,
following him along.
They're just razzing him the whole time. That would be amazing.
What
I'm
if there
surprised
was
they haven't done that yet.
Right?
What if there's like a group of San Antonio women following him around the entire course with signs like protesting? He would probably
Galveston
love
and
that.
San Antonio.
Galveston, San Antonio. Yeah.
That would be so great. Just people dressed up in the beehive of Beyonce, just following him the whole time, yelling at him. That would be great. But yeah, it was a lot of fun there in Tahoe. And then we came back, and the Royals make a big trade to get Hunter Harvey in the back of their bullpen, and then Jack Tani's available. At number 6 for the Royals to draft. So
You're the first person I thought of when they took Caglione.
I've been wanting him.
You've been talking about it for 2 years. You were
for
the
2
first.
years,
I hadn't heard of him until you started talking about him.
I'm like, there's no way. Like the Royals last year, as the Royals were losing, and I'm like, look, all they have to do is have one of the 3 worst records to have the highest percentage of the odds to win the lottery to get Jack Caglione. And if they do that, hey, that's great. And then they got the 6th pick, and like, this is BS.
Now you love the lottery.
Hate the lottery. It's still dumb. Always has been dumb.
Wait, you're saying they could have got him with the first, second, or third pick?
Yeah, or
okay.
6th. Yeah, if they had the but Sterling's right. He's like, this year it actually may have benefited the Royals because they may have saved some bonus pool money in getting
Think
him
of the
at number
positives.
6.
Everyone's so negative.
Well, now that they got Jack, if they would have ended up with Jack.
I knew they were getting him no matter what.
Typically, they end up with Jack. This year, they actually got Jack.
Just with no
great.
K. Right?
Yes.
Do you think his name? It's obviously his real name is Jeffrey. It's like Jeffrey.
That's obvious.
Jeffrey Allen Caglione.
How is that obvious?
Well, because his name's Jack.
Obviously, his name is
Caglione, and so
his name's Jack Caglione.
but
Obviously, his first name is Jeff.
Well, no, because it's
I'm
J.
Mickey. Obviously, my first name is Joseph.
It's J. Is it really?
It is.
Wow.
Well,
how's that obvious to you?
How do you not
It's
know
obvious.
this?
Because
So
his
obvious.
name's J.A.C. Jack.
So there's
and
nobody
it's
named Jack?
Jeffrey Allen Caglione. So the G.A. I'm
The
assuming
last name's in there twice. It's part of like the initials for the first
well,
name,
I think
and it's
so.
the last name.
It makes sense to me, and because he jacks the ball.
There's a couple. There's an extra N in there. Are we sure we're pronouncing the last name right?
Jason told me it was Caglione, not
Caglione. It's Caglione.
Looks like Caglianone.
Yeah,
but I was told that's wrong.
The first N is silent.
Yeah, if you sound it out, it is that. But I think it's Caglione because
So
that's how I spell it.
Caglione.
Then that A is silent too.
Yeah.
The A-N is silent.
But mainly that N. Mainly the first N is silent.
But I thought it was
It's
kind of
odd.
obvious that Jeffrey Allen Caglione is Jack J.A.C. because J.A.C. are the initials. But maybe I'm the
I didn't know
dumbass
his
here.
middle name either.
I mean, obviously, Mick, his middle name is Allen.
Yes.
How did you not know his name
I
is
knew that,
Jeffrey Allen?
yes.
So, had you known, obviously, his middle name is Allen, you would have known that's why he goes by Jack J.A.C.
I thought his first name was Jack because that's a common first name.
Yeah.
But
funny as best.
J.A.C..
Learn funny as best. What I learned is that obviously his first name was Jeff. That's what I
That's
learned.
it. I got that one.
I learned that his
I got
first
that
name
one.
being Jeffrey was obvious. That's what I learned this weekend.
Joke's on you. He spells it with a G. It's like Joffrey. G-E-O.
Ah,
yeah.
well, then I'd be very befuddled then.
Let's hope he's king.
He's Gak.
No, it's a G. All right, let's take a timeout. We'll come back. We'll continue rolling. The Home Run Derby coming up tonight. Bobby Witt Jr. being pitched to by James Russell. Obviously, his first name's Jeffrey.
Jack Russell.
Jack Russell. He's a
It's
terrier.
Got that dog in him.
God love a terrier.
Oh, that's a good one.
He does, yeah.
Should we end on that?
No.
Yeah, no. So we go back through the teams that we had, and whoever had Rob McElhaney and Jason Kelsey on the team could be in a world of hurt, unless their first 3 picks were awesome. So my team was Mark Mulder, Michael Pena, Chris Harrison, Rob McElhaney, and Jason Kelsey. Dylan's team was Tony Romo, Dwight Freeney, Joe Theismann, Rob Riggle, and Gary Sheffield. Sterling had Derek Lowe, Ray Allen, Chase Utley, Chandler Parsons, and Kyle Juszczyk. And Mick had Joe Pavelski, TJ Oshie, Nate Bargatze, Blake Griffin, and John O'Hurley.
When you're talking to Nate Bargatze, you mentioned my brother. Did you mention that I have him on the team?
No, because I couldn't remember if you had him or I
didn't
had him.
until this point right now.
I did not remember. The perfect team from the weekend that was the high score out of each and every group would have been Marty Fish, even though we took Marty Fish off.
Couldn't do it.
Derek Carr and Harrison Smith tied for the high score out of Group 2.
Which, by the way, Derek Carr, what a bounce back for a guy who was shanking every single iron on the range into our booth. He came over. He came over and apologized.
Warming up on Friday, it looked like he was about to have a terrible. Weekend.
I've never seen a guy I felt so bad because everyone's had that moment where you're like, you're going to play golf, and you're like, I feel like I've never swung a club before, and that's
especially when everybody's watching.
He goes,
cameras on you.
He's like, I have no idea what I'm doing right now. I have no idea.
Group 3 high score was Joe Mauer. Group 4 high score was Ryan Fitzpatrick. And Group 5 high score was Gary Sheffield.
Okay.
So Dylan, the only one of us that selected somebody that was a high score out of that particular group.
Did he hold the club up like this right before he's...
We were wondering, does he when he brings the club back, does he do this?
Yeah.
And then finally follow through? All right, so let's go through the scores here. Who won? Who lost? That's really all that matters.
Let's start at the top.
Okay. So the middle was very close. The top and the bottom was not. With a score of 138, which is pretty damn good, because 190 was the high score. The most you can get if you had the number one guy in each group was 190. And we didn't allow Marty Fish to be a part of it anyway.
Right.
So a 138, and it pains me that Sterling had the 138.
That was me.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Oh
Sterling,
God.
where are you
How
going?
many people are you going to tell this story to?
Where are you going?
He is him.
Where are you going?
Oh, God.
Sterling had some pretty awesome picks. His 4th round selection of Chandler Parsons got him a positive 12.
Yeah.
Rob Riggle for Dylan got him a negative 12. Blake Griffin for you, Mick, got you negative 21. And Rob McElhaney for me got negative 35. So even that one round between...
And in this scoring of golf,
positive's the better, yeah. In that one round in selection is a difference between me and Sterling of 47 points.
But what about Ray Allen? I told you Ray Allen's smooth swing was going to come
Ray
through.
Allen finished 3rd in the group of 2.
Yeah.
Ray Allen had the 3rd best score in the group of 2. Derek Carr, Harrison Smith tied at 48. Ray Allen had 47.
Yeah.
So he was right there. So Sterling had the high score of 138. The next high score had the person that finished 2nd in the tournament. So the best player, the highest scorer, once we took away Marty Fish, this guy also picked 4th. Mick Schaefer with a 47.
He is him. She is her.
47. Now, I mentioned the score 47 for Mick because Sterling had 138. And 2nd place was 47.
Jeez.
Yeah. It was 47.
Stop staring at me. You were at the tournament. You had an advantage.
I'm not disagreeing. I told you. I saw Ray Allen swing, and I go, I got that guy. I saw Chandler Parsons at the bar, and I go, I'm going Chandler.
Mick had an awesome first pick. His 2nd and 3rd round picks were not that great because the 2nd round pick...
Too much hockey.
TJ Oshie got him an 8 as a 2nd round player. That's pretty rough.
On average, what was the 2nd round player delivering?
Dylan's Dwight Freeney got 27. Michael Pena for me got 33, and Ray Allen got 47. Wow. And you got 8.
Come on, TJ. Too many late nights playing beer pong.
That's exactly what it was.
Yeah,
That's exactly what it was.
I saw him order, I think it was he just ordered a vodka on the course. I think he just said, can I get a vodka? Which
just
is
nothing else.
When you know your round's not going well, yeah, I'll take a vodka.
It's like in a movie when a guy walks up, it's like, I'll take a beer. Yeah, sure. All right, 2 beers? Yep, 2 beers over here. Thank you. Like, really? That
They usually
happens?
ask you what kind.
Yeah, what kind? No. In
IPA,
every movie,
sour, wheat.
Every movie or TV show, it's like, I'll take 2 beers. Yeah, thanks. What kind? we're not paying for the rights, so it's just beers. Okay, we're not paying for the rights for whatever.
You could at least say like a hazy IPA. Like at least get like some specifics in there.
Surprise me.
Yeah.
All right, well,
Also on TV shows, they always plan for a date tomorrow night. They never say the time. All right, I'll pick you up. Okay. What about time and logistics?
In place.
Yes.
Yeah, they don't,
So the second runner-up to the last place. So third place finisher. It's between me and Dylan.
I don't like where this is going. I feel like it's me. The way this
I don't
is set
think
up,
it is. The way you got a lot of points on that one guy. He got the fourth and fifth were bad.
Third place finisher with a score of 42.
We were close.
I'm sorry,
Maybe.
Dylan. It was me.
Oh, no.
Dylan finished with a score of 12. Dylan's third
So you
round.
must have hit on a couple picks.
My first three picks were the best three picks of anybody's
group, okay.
first 3 rounds.
And then your
Mark
fourth
Mulder,
and fifth were the
Mark
worst.
Mulder 61, Michael Pena 33, Chris Harrison 34. I got 34 points out of my third round pick. Even Sterling's Chase Utley only got him 18. So my third round pick, Chris Harrison, was awesome. They were so good, it made up for the fact that I was minus 88 with Rob McElhaney and Travis Kelce. Kelce got minus 51. Rob McElhaney got minus 35. What screwed Dylan
That's what my question was here.
was Romo only got a 21, and Mark Mulder got 61, and Derek Lowe got 62, and Pavelski got 79. Romo had a terrible weekend. That was my second. It was either going to be Mulder or Romo that I was going to pick.
Yeah.
And I went Mulder.
I saw Romo blade about 3 or 4 chips in a row before he went out for his round, and I go, oh, that's not good. That's not good.
And your third round pick of Joe Theismann got you minus 22.
Yeah, he kind of alluded to that, too.
He broke his leg, too.
Yeah. Bargatze got Mick 10. Utley got Sterling 18. And Chris Harrison got me 34. So between me and you, Dylan, the third round selection was a difference of 56 points.
Yeah. And it was it 2 points for a par?
3 points for a birdie, 1 point for a par, or 1 point for a par, 0 for bogey.
Right.
Anything 2 or worse, double bogey or worse, they just stopped you.
Right.
Once you got double bogey, you got minus 2.
And then bogey was 0. What was double bogey? Was that
minus 2?
Minus 2.
Double bogey and beyond.
Double bogey and par. No, they didn't equal themselves out because par was plus 1.
Yep.
And
two
then
pars,
birdies.
2 pars and 1 double bogey equaled out.
So bogey golf, basically, you're 0.
Yep. Dylan's final 3 selections of Joe Theismann minus 22, Rob Riggle minus 12, and Gary Sheffield
If you
minus
shoot
2.
90, you're 0, basically.
Gary Sheffield was one of the best selections of the entire group because Kyle Juszczyk got minus 12 for Sterling. O'Hurley got minus 29 for Mick, and Jason Kelce got minus 51 for me. And Sheffield only minus 2. But it was the fact that I got 40 more points with Mark Mulder and a 56-point swing in the third round is the reason that.
Hey, at least you're positive, though, Dylan.
Yeah, you're positive
It could
12.
be worse.
Yeah.
Could be worse.
Yep. A lot of negative in there. Got a positive out of it.
That's
so.
exactly right. I had 2 of the worst selections in the draft, so that sucked. But also made up for it by Michael Pena's back injury not being nearly as bad as he was telling Jim Roberts about, and Chris Harrison being a stud, getting me 34 points in round 3. So there you go. Sterling wins with a score of 138. Mick comes in second with a score of 47. I come in third with a score of 42, and Dylan in fourth with a score of 12.
And I get eaten by the bear.
Yep.
So.
Sometimes you're the windshield, sometimes you're the
Good
bug.
news is you don't have to pay until he's paid up on the
exactly
Royals
right.
one, so it might be a few years.
That's exactly right. Drew Bream, the Royals third-round pick, MLB.com. I think Jim Callis saying, quote, he's one of the safest bets in this draft to make it as a big league starter. So there you go. Won a national championship at Tennessee. All right.
Related to Jim?
No, actually.
Or former major winner Rich Beam.
Oh, yeah.
No, because Drew's first name obviously is Jeffrey.
Oh, duh.
You guys didn't know that it was Jeffrey Beam? Idiots. All right, let's get some learned funniest best in here. We'll go quickly. Learned what we learned from the weekend, funniest from the weekend, best from the weekend, going around the room. What I learned this weekend, so in a different way, I learned about the assassination attempt. I learned it from Twitter/X, and I learned it because Nick Castellanos was trending. That's how I learned about it, is because Nick Castellanos hit a home run like 10 minutes later. After the attempted assassination. And Nick Castellanos was trending, and I'm like, oh, what happened? Clicked on it, and that's how I found out that there was an assassination
A,
attempt.
that's uncanny. I saw it. B, I learned that that's really the real announcer for the Oakland A's.
Yeah. Yep. She's very excited about all home runs.
I've heard her make calls before, and I thought it was a joke or whatever. You can't believe you can do anything with AI now and voices. And my son's like, no, that's the real call. I'm like, she does that call. That's her. She's the main announcer. Yeah. She's the play-by-play guy.
Not good.
Wow. Okay.
Not good.
Is that part of like this? The whole like, hey, we're moving.
We're moving to Sacramento.
Yeah, we're just gonna be part of that joke, or
maybe I don't know. Sterling, what'd you learn this weekend?
Sleep is overrated.
Is it?
Like I was always, try to get like 8 hours
back
of
in
sleep
10 years,
a night. Well, I don't know. I felt just as well rested after 4 or 5 as I do about 8. Which I mean, I'm not going to go like the gym in the morning and start working out, but
well, of course not.
I'm not going to like actually better myself by any means. But like I realized that we don't need like 8 hours of sleep a night. Like 5 to 6 is plenty. Maybe I'm wrong here. Correct me if I'm wrong here, fellas. But
I think you're just superhuman. That's what I would take from this.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
Yep. That's what it is. You're
Did I get bit by a spider? You
more
think
more than a man, less than a god,
or maybe like a bat, and I'm now Batman.
You and Babe Ruth. More than a man, less than a god. It's not overrated because I was trying to catch up on that all weekend. Whew.
Yeah,
Still trying to catch up.
Do we have a sleep bank? Can you catch up on it, or you just?
I don't know that you
maybe
can.
just lost it.
Maybe that's
just missed out.
A myth. What'd you learn, Mick?
I learned that Greg Berhalter is the son, the godson, not the son, the godson of Carl Yastrzemski.
No kidding.
Families grew up together, hung out. The Yaz is his godfather.
Obviously, first name Jeff.
Obviously, at GMB, it's Gregory Matthew Berhalter.
Second time Carl Yastrzemski's come up today.
That's right.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we haven't mentioned him in at least 48 hours.
Triple Crown guy, right? Is that what you're talking? Are you talking about Aaron Judge or
his son?
No, we were just talking about kids that are named after their dads, and we were wondering if it's a boy for the Mahomes, would that boy feel better or worse about not being named after his dad? And Patrick Mahomes, the third. Is it a good thing because he sort of separates it? We had what 2 hours on the air talking about that? I think it was roughly 2 hours,
2.5,
or 2 minutes, whichever.
And he is named after him, right? But they just call him Bronze.
They call him Bronze, yeah, because he's Patrick LeBron.
Because he's third
Mahomes
place.
the third.
But my point was like
he made the podium. Damn it. Okay.
My point is like Vladimir Guerrero Jr. You still know he's Vladimir Guerrero's son, even if his name was not Vladimir.
Yeah.
Or like I'm like Kevin Biggio. You're not like, well, I wonder who his dad is. No, you still know it's Craig.
Well, it's like the two Mondesi's two kids, Raul and Adalberto.
They're both Raul. Adalberto's first name is Raul.
No, they're two different. They're two different kids. He's got Raul Mondesi Jr. and he's got
like,
Adalberto Mondesi.
Well, George
two different
Foreman,
kids.
Mick, George Foreman. Just name them all.
They're all
George
yes.
Georgette.
Raul, and isn't Raul going to jail?
I think he is. I think
The
that's why
dad?
he changed. Raul changed his name to Adalberto, but
No, he's got new charges now. He's going to jail.
yeah. Well,
Oh, wow.
I've always thought that. I just think they're
I
twins.
learned that.
Yeah.
Learned that from
What'd
Mick.
you learn, Dylan? What'd you learn, brother?
So I learned Robert McIntyre. I did not know about him on the tour. He is a Scottish man. He won the Scottish Open this weekend on the PGA Tour. I thought that was awesome.
Great ending too.
It was a great ending.
Very
Great
cool.
putt.
Yes.
too.
All right. The funniest. We start with you, Sterling.
Yankees fans, because they're in shambles over Anthony Volpe and Clay Holmes right now, and it's just Verdugo, and it's just absolutely electric.
Also not winning games, too,
Yeah,
right?
it's just so fun watching Yankees fans just complain nonstop. Like, beginning of the year, it's like Bobby Witt and Gunnar like, well, what about Anthony Volpe? And everyone's like, yeah, I mean, like, he's fine. He's OPSing 666, Yankees fans. Is that the same level as Bobby and Gunnar?
It must be.
He ain't even Willie Adamas. Get out of here.
Wasn't he the guy that blocked the bag, too, at second?
Yes, he sure enough was.
Yep.
Oh, Clay
Bobby.
Holmes.
Yeah.
Oh, you just love watching him get shelled as Volpe boots one, and then for some reason Verdugo forgets that he's 9 and decides to come in on a ball and then just has the longest fall of all time. Gosh, I love Yankees fans in shambles. Let's go.
What was the funniest for you, man?
Funniest for me, conversation I had with my buddy's trip from our hometown back to a very small town lake, small little lake house we're all crammed into, and there was an incident last year where chips were on my bed. I went to my bed this year, and the chips out of the bag were still on the bed. I was like, hey, is chips still on my bed? He's like, I would have figured the mice would have got to those. I'm like, there's mice down there? He goes, I would have figured, no, usually the snakes get the mice, but and I was like, all right, I'm just gonna try to pass out and not think what's creeping around in the dark around me.
No, it's better.
Yeah.
You know, ignorance is bliss.
It
Sometimes.
is.
Just
Very
just
blissful.
Yes, wake up in the morning. Now I got to worry about it. But when I'm sleeping, we'll find out. All right, Dylan, your funnies from the weekend.
Quick one. It was Brooks Koepka on the Live Tour. The England and Spain game was Sunday, and they were paired, all three, him, John Rahm, and Sergio Garcia, and he wore an England kit showing up to the first tee. It's a pretty great video.
That's funny.
You can find it on Twitter.
That's funny. My funniest from the weekend, I saw this floating around on the Twitter X. This is a party, and I'll just let you listen to find out what's going on at this is a Ring camera that caught this interaction between a couple of friends.
Dude, how are you the last one to show up to your own party? That is messed up. What party? Your birthday party. What are you talking about?
What are you doing?
What?
It's a surprise party.
Surprise party?
Are you drunk?
It's your birthday. I'm at the party.
You guys can come out. Derek messed this up. Seriously.
Wondering where all the cars were.
How stupid can you be?
Mom, why didn't you just say it's a surprise party?
There's people here to see you. Happy birthday. Thanks a lot, Derek.
Dude was sitting outside. It was like, how are you the last one to show up to your
party?
Own party?
Thanks a lot, Derek.
We need that for Matt
good.
Derek. We need to keep that for
thanks
Matt
a lot,
Derek.
Thanks a lot, Derek. That is. Are you drunk? Of course I am. It's a party. It's also a great line. Are you drunk? What was the best for you, Mick?
The best is kind of a combined learned and funniest, and I don't know if it's the best, but I just wanted to get it out there. The actor who voiced McGruff, the crime dog. Do you guys know about McGruff? You guys, I don't know. If
I
it's
know
yours.
McGriff, the crime dog.
Do you know what he was
That was
named
Fred
after?
McGriff.
Yeah.
McGruff is the crime dog, basically. That there's a cartoon.
Yeah,
that
yeah.
you
That's
talk about
what Fred McGriff was named after.
Yeah, I
McGruff.
was
Neighborhood Watch. Yeah, exactly. He was named after. That's why his nickname is Crime Dog.
But his first name was Jeffrey.
The actor John Morales, who voiced McGruff, the crime dog, has been in jail for the past 10 years. He
That's your best?
It's kind of a learned and kind of a funniest.
What's funny about it?
Irony is funny sometimes.
That's true. That is funny.
His legal troubles began in 2011 when police discovered 1,000 marijuana plants, 27 weapons, including a grenade launcher, and 9,000 rounds of ammunition at his residence. And then he's had a lot more stuff go on. But McGruff, the crime dog, is in it. He's on the other side.
There you go.
He's turned.
It's the worst thing is that you be in law enforcement and end up in jail or prison. That's not a good thing.
He's like Leo in that one movie.
Mm-hmm. Called Leo.
The Departed.
The Departed.
Dylan, your best from the weekend? You'll find it. You'll get there.
There it is.
No, we can skip you and come back if you want to.
Also on the Live Tour, I'm going to butcher his name, Abe Answer.
Yeah, Abraham Answer.
Completed the club throw into the lake, and maybe one of the most aggressive fashions I've seen after he... It seems like he hit a decent shot, but I can't see it on this video. So, again, another visual medium for a audio
Love it.
show.
No, that's great. My best from the weekend happened on Friday after we were off the air. Kylie Kelsey was following the group of Jason and Travis and Miz. Oddly enough, that's where she was walking. I didn't know if she was out there following her husband around the course, because on Thursday he played in a Pro-Am and she was not there. So we were just hanging out right by 12, and then we were going to catch a shuttle. And so Kylie Kelsey comes walking by, and she was very nice the night before. My wife and I went up and asked for a picture with Kylie Kelsey. She was very nice. Then after the picture, she just started talking to us instead of going back with her friends, like, where are we from? What are we doing? Da, da, da. And then she had to go get apple pie with Andrew Whitworth, which who doesn't? I mean, come on. Andrew Whitworth was like, what's the deal? She was like, I already said, let's go. She was like, sorry, we have an apple pie emergency. We have to leave. So she was walking by, and I'm like, hey, how was the apple pie? And so, we started up a conversation. One of my wife's best friends is the biggest sort of Taylor Swift fan ever. She had a Taylor Swift wedding that I went to that you and I talked about, Mick, last summer. Everything was Taylor Swift themed at her wedding. She is a new mom, was diagnosed with stage 3 breast cancer. So she is battling breast cancer.
This is your wife's
right
best
now.
friend.
Yes.
Okay.
And a huge Taylor Swift fan. So my wife tells Kylie Kelsey, puts her on FaceTime, and Kylie Kelsey sits there for 5 minutes while her husband's teeing off and everything, talking to my wife's best friend who's battling cancer and has her little baby right there. And she didn't have to do that. And she sat there and just talked with her. And I'm like, this is the coolest thing ever. Because she could have been like, hey, how are you? Oh, we got... No, she was like, you're going to kick cancer's ass, girl.
That's cool.
You know, and just talked about her kid and everything. So it was really, really awesome moment. And when we hung up, my wife's best friend was just over the moon.
That's cool.
In tears because Kylie's now part of the group with the Taylor Swift.
Yeah, I
right?
would be surprised if she passed along or her number to Taylor, and Taylor does the same thing, knowing her.
Yeah, so it was very cool for Kylie Kelsey, like, you know, not just hey, she talked with us, but that was pretty awesome. What was the best for you, Sterling?
Yeah, I wish you would have gone last.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Small one. The Royals the past 24 to 36 hours has been awesome. Obviously,
that's nothing compared to his.
Why is that even your best?
Not even close to
I thought
his.
this is kind of funny.
Why is this last?
Mixed with somebody went to jail.
Yeah, this
best
is
was
not
somebody
even
locked
that cool.
up.
Mine's just more of just the randomness of life. We were flying back from Vegas to Kansas City. One of my fiance's friends is flying in for her bridal shower. She was apparently actually in Hawaii this past week for 10 days. We were on the same flight back. We met up in Vegas. It was the same flight back to like the odds of us flying back from Reno, her flying back from Hawaii. We met on the same flight. I mean, same flight back. So that was pretty just crazy. The randomness of life. How the world's such a big place.
Yeah.
And sometimes small little things happen.
Well, I'll tell you what. Typically, marriages and engagements get called off because you met up with your wife's best friend in Vegas.
That's true.
But this
one worked out well.
This one worked out well. Yeah,
this one was just fine. You know.
Yeah. Wow, I didn't even think of it that way.
Oh, you didn't? I thought about it the whole time. My wife and I were sitting there having a conversation of.
Wonder.
We were not. We were not.
I'm a gentleman and a scholar, Jason.
We were wondering if we were ever going to get home since we sat on the tarmac in Reno for an hour.
In 112 degrees in the plane.
And then sat in Vegas on the tarmac for an hour.
They don't turn that AC on until they're up in the air, too.
Auxiliary motor.
Yeah.
Auxiliary motor. This is the best power that we have. Sorry, this is as good as everybody's got their Southwest cards out there that's talking about how great Southwest is, and they're fanning themselves off with it. That was not my best.
So you're
from the weekend.
Your fiance's best friend, and you're hot and sweaty.
I was very hot and sweaty. Yeah, in Vegas. Yeah.
Wow. Good luck.
Yeah, I think it'll
totally
work
out.
Totally work out.